Peach, are you okay with this going on YouTube?
Yeah, I am totally fine with it. Not a big deal.
Cool. All right, we're getting started. Welcome to the stream. I appreciate you for deciding to do this. It is also kind of last minute to me, but I'm glad you
No
were able to
worries.
use your free time.
Yeah, no worries. I'm definitely happy and excited to be here.
You know what's crazy? I wait before I say this. Do you care if people know your real name?
My legal name, yes. The only reason being is
Uh,
because I have been stalked all the way home.
okay.
That's the only reason why. Other than that, like I would have been very open to it
Yeah,
before, you
got it.
know. But yeah, yep,
Because I stumbled across it and I was just like I had no idea whatsoever. So that was a surprise.
yeah.
Okay,
So,
so Peach. Yeah.
yeah, my first name, obviously we keep on the DL.
Mhm.
I used to model under the name Skylar. And it kind of trickled over to Peaches, simply because of my car and the company that I used to, um, like brand ambassador type of thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, and so it's been Peaches since.
Sounds good. And speaking of you, let's start off with an introduction. Could be brief or you could get into detail, it's up to you. You could include your hobbies, interests, just like the general background.
Awesome. Well, as you guys already got the overview, I'm Peaches. I play a lot of Valorant. I've been trying to get better at it. Just recently got affiliate with Twitch. Big
Congrats.
thing. Thank you, thank you. Big things that I'm super into. I'm super into cars. I love cars. I'm a big JDM fan. I used to go drifting and tracking with friends all the time before I moved to Hawaii. Yeah, so that's not much to me. I'm an autism teacher. I teach kids with autism, taking data and all that stuff. Yeah.
Very nice. All right. How would you describe your personality?
Oh man. I used to be very outgoing and extroverted. Um, but I
Yeah.
would say I'm a big like ambivert, like in the middle. Um, I used I used to like party really hard. I used to hang out with people really like every other day. Um, but yeah. Oh yeah, another thing. Thank you, Stacy. I collect a lot of figures. This is just one shelf
Oh,
in my
okay. Yeah.
house. But I collect a lot of figures. That's definitely another hobby that I developed since I
Mm-hmm.
moved here. But yeah. Yeah, I'm a very like laid back person. I really don't care half the time. Like you could say a lot of stuff to me and I wouldn't get offended as long as it's like not disrespectful. But yeah. Yeah.
Great overview.
Thank you.
We could get into details like your hobbies and interests along the way as you kind of
Mhm.
tell us your story. So let's start things off with your upbringing, specifically your childhood. What do you tell us?
I can tell you so much. Um, so my grandmother has 10 kids.
Wow.
My dad is the second to youngest. Um, my mom was never in the picture. She left when I was an infant. Um, Man, there should be a count on how many times I said
Okay.
But uh, gosh, I grew up in Washington State, Seattle, South Seattle area. Growing up, my dad didn't really have much funds. We used to live in like a 5-bedroom house with, let's say, about 8 people in the house, so everybody had to share a bed or something like that. I grew up with my grandmother the most. She raised me and my dad raised me. A lot like my aunties and uncles. But it ended up, like eventually us moving out and me and my grandma and my dad lived together for a while. His wife and my two younger siblings. Uh, yeah. I definitely had a lot to my childhood for sure my because my mom was never in the picture.
Yeah.
My aunties and uncles and everybody, hopped in and helped raise me and all that. I also had a With that being said though, I did have a lot of confusion growing up since like the concept of having a mom and dad, right? You would grasp it
Yeah.
gradually growing up because you would see two people. But my auntie, she stepped in a lot too, and so she took care of me, she raised me, and I always saw her as mom. So I would refer to her as Mama Tina. So yeah, it gave me a lot of confusion. Eventually my family kind of fell apart, and so that portion of my family split and moved on um, to a different part of the state, and I rarely get to see them. But yeah, it was a lot to my childhood for sure. A lot of hobbies I did was ballet, soccer, ultimate frisbee. Um, Met one of my closest friends. He's no longer here anymore, but met him there, and yeah, yeah,
Athletics for an
yeah.
athlete as a kid.
I wouldn't necessarily say I was a big athlete. Oh, I also did cheer in high school, but
Oh,
uh, I have a lot of medical conditions that I didn't know about when I was younger. I was also a sick kid growing up too. Like I was always sick. I would be out of school months at a time.
yeah.
It was bad. Uh, but I definitely enjoyed sports a lot. I just wish I could have done it more, especially when I was younger, because I had more of a capability when I was younger than I do now. Uh, but yeah, I definitely enjoyed sports a lot. Ultimate Frisbee, if you guys have never played it, I highly suggest it. It's so much fun.
That was like a big thing in your area, Seattle.
Yes, it was such a big thing. Um, I would say like it's one of the most popular sports that we did.
Very nice.
There's like nationals, there's like yeah, it gets pretty up there, but it's still like a low key sport at the same time. Like not much knows about it.
All right.
Yeah.
So I guess we could kind of form a timeline throughout your childhood since you kind of
Mhm.
gave us an overview of what it was like. Yeah, so
Mhm.
feel free to kind of like start when you were young and get into specific stories and include like school. We're gonna like dive into your school life too. Up until
Yeah,
today.
definitely.
Yeah, all on you.
Oh man. Hello. God. So when I was an infant, my dad doesn't know that I know the story, but my auntie told me about it, and hopefully he won't see it one day. But if he does, whatever.
Hmm.
I definitely have a lot of appreciation towards my dad more now that I'm older and I'm learning or understanding the story and what he gone through for me. Okay, so my dad had me at 21. Um, it was like one of those one night stand things, and my dad would go off to work, and he would, try his best to make enough money just to survive, just to take care of me and all that. And my mom would be at home taking care of me. She would take me to a daycare while my dad's gone, drop me off, go to the casino, party up, this and that, you know, all the great things, all the great things. uh, and by the time my dad is supposed to come home. She'll come, pick me up, take me home. And and one day she decided to not come home and left me at the daycare. My dad had no idea where I was or how to find me. My dad went through hell with that. And man, my aunties and uncles were all trying to help find me. And eventually they found me. My my daycare had me for so long, like, over day, overnight,
Oh,
over for so long that they, just kind of handed me off to a foster care since, nobody came and picked me up. And when my dad found me, I was, in the process of getting adopted by an LGBTQ couple. And he had to go through a bunch of battle custodies for me, try to convince my mom to sign over custody, like complete custody, for me and all that. And it cost him so much money, so much time, and definitely a lot of mental, instability for sure, and draining him. But eventually, he got me back. But because of all those things and all those expenses added on, he was barely making much either. And so he wasn't really around much when I was, my childhood. So I would be passed on from my aunties and uncles. So in the morning, my auntie would take me to school. Um,
yeah, wait. So, the timeline, how old were you when your dad finally got full custody?
like 6 months to 1 years old.
Okay,
Yeah,
took a few
yeah,
months, that battle.
yep. If anything, if I honestly think maybe a little bit longer, but I definitely didn't get enough information about that part.
Yeah,
Just like a brief overview that my family wanted to tell me about and, inform me and all that stuff. That way, I know my story a little bit better. I'm actually really grateful for that. So, but also, oh, back to that part too, because my dad was so broke, trying to pay all these fees and working day in and day out and, just trying to survive on top of it. Um, I got severely sick when I was a kid,
yeah,
and I hit 100 and something degree fever. My dad was so broke that he couldn't even take me to the hospital. And so from that day onwards, he swore up and down that, he'll make enough, he'll save every dollar that he has, just, just in case something ever goes wrong and all this stuff, you know.
yeah,
So it made him into an extremely hardworking man. But it also altered the way to see things. Um, he didn't really start seeing the value of family and all this stuff until later on recently. But yeah, that definitely had a big toll on him for sure, and big toll on how I was raised too. But yeah, that was it. That was about my infancy,
yeah,
childhood. Um, but school, man, elementary up until like freshman year of high school was really rough for me. I got severely bullied a lot. A lot. Um, I would say throughout elementary, just starting school and all that, I didn't really eat much. I wasn't a big fan of eating, didn't like eating. Come to find out, now that I'm older, it's because I have issues with my stomach. But because I wouldn't eat at all. My auntie would come to school during lunch and sit there and make me eat my food.
Oh wow.
Yeah,
Commitment.
it was hardcore commitment, but it was also like super embarrassing because I'm like this only kid sitting by myself with my aunt, you know, like it's on lunch, trying to eat lunch and all that stuff, you know. But yeah, I was so bad. I I always had an issue with my stomach growing up to where maybe now that I'm looking back and seeing my medical condition now, um, I would get really sick. It would cause so much pain. I would cry throughout the night because it would be so much pain that I couldn't handle. I wouldn't
Yeah.
even be able to sleep. And this would take like a month, over a month, uh, of just trying to recover from it. I wasn't able to ingest that much food, and I was like this tiny little frail kid. uh, but yeah, definitely
So
was.
that's why you're bullied because you're like, oh, and you had your.
Yep, yep. I got severely bullied over that stuff because they're like, oh, like why do you need your aunt to be here? Like you're in school, you're old enough to be alone. Like kids. That's how they see it. And kids were very, very mean. I also grew up in the ghetto, so that didn't help. Like they're very, very mean too.
Ghetto of
Um,
Seattle.
yep. So Rainier Beach area.
Okay.
Yep. So kids were bullying me over that, and then on top of that, like I'm super frail. I was very introverted because I grew up surrounded by adults. And so with that being said too, they kind of abuse those opportunities to, say whatever and do whatever. And I was the easiest to pick on. Definitely the easiest to pick on. Super sensitive. It was a lot for sure. Now I'm thinking back, I'm like, oh my god, kids are evil. Oh my gosh. But yeah, I got picked on. I got called fugly a lot.
Okay.
Um, I got called fugly a lot, definitely. And yeah, school is definitely hard. Going throughout elementary, like I would play by myself, hang out by myself. I was actually telling this story. This is like around kindergarten. I would hang out by myself so much that you kind of just come up with creative things to do. And there's this one time in elementary, I was sliding down the slide face upwards, and the bell rang. And so by the time I hit the bottom, there was a kiddo who was running, to get in line. He decided to run across the slide, and it's like risen up from the ground.
Yeah.
But my head was facing up. So he got my eyelid, split it.
God.
Oh my gosh, it was so bad. He got my eyelid, split it. I used to never have issues with eyesight or anything at all. But now my left eye is significantly lazier than my right, as in like sight wise.
Okay.
Um, and thankfully, I grew out of the scar, but there is still a slight scar to my eye
Yeah.
from it. And so when that happened, I got up from the slide and blood was just trickling down my face. And I was like, kind of halfway covering it, but not covering it,
Yeah.
because it hurt, but you don't want to touch it all the way. Uh, oh man. And I like walked into the building, walked to the front office, like I didn't even give a shit what the teachers were saying to me. I just knew I was in pain, and I just knew I needed to go to the front office, to the nurse's office.
Okay.
And so I walked in there, went like this, and everybody was just pure panic.
Oh no, like the
Pure
staff.
panic. Yeah,
Uh.
they're like, oh my god, what's happened? Da 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 da. Whatnot. Nurse comes over and she was like, okay, it's not as bad, so we don't have to call the ambulance, so you don't need stitches. Cause so like your eyelid, it's like that, but if you split it, there's that layer underneath.
Yeah.
So that layer was still intact. And she was like, it's not that bad. It'll just get mend back to each other eventually. And so I was like, okay. Okay. She slaps a band-aid on it, and I come home from school, and my dad was like, what the hell happened? Da 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 da.
Pissed.
And I'm like, yeah, he was so mad. And yeah, but it was a interesting time in my life. Definitely won't ever forget it. Like I could remember it clear as day. Clear as day on how that happened. Oh man, I was a extremely clumsy kid growing up too. Very clumsy. I'm surprised I don't have more scars on me to tell you how
Clumsy,
extremely
yeah.
clumsy I was. But there is so many stories that I can remember about how clumsy I was. Yeah. I would try to play with other kids, and because they were very mean, I got bullied and picked on while we're playing games. So they'll like make it into a game where they can bully me. Like Power Rangers, pretending to be Power Rangers. I got my ass kicked by a little boy
What the
in
hell? Wait,
elementary.
elementary, okay.
Yeah, in elementary, I got my ass kicked by a little boy, and my dad found out. Came to my school when he picked me up. Went up. My dad is such a badass. Now that I'm like thinking back on it too.
Yeah.
Picked me up, walked up, waited outside, waited for this kid to leave. Mind you, this kid is in elementary too. It's so bad. But my dad
Exactly.
walks up to the kid and like 5'8", 5'6", around there, short dude. But he was a bodybuilder back then. He wanted to be just like a bodybuilder, wanted to be like Arnold,
Yeah.
all that stuff. So my dad was like bulked up, like muscles everywhere. And he walks up to this little kid. I swear to God, this kid shitted his pants. Looks at him, hardcore, points at him like this, and as he's pointing at him, he's like, "Don't you ever lay your hand on her. If you ever hang out with her, da 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 da, or play with her, or bully her, blah blah blah." And going off on this kid, and I swear to God, this kid is just on the verge of like crying and shitting himself over it.
Yeah.
But yeah, oh my gosh, that happened in my life.
What a great dad.
He definitely is. I definitely didn't. Now like now you're older, you look back and you're like, oh okay, he definitely was a part of my life, whatnot. But me and my dad never had the best of relationships either, simply
Oh.
because he was barely around. But I definitely liked teasing my dad a lot growing up. And here's another clumsy story I have. So inside my house, my old house, it's stairs, door, and there's this like weird balcony type of thing that you can see the door from.
Yeah.
And then, so corner, closet. And so there's this sharp corner right here. And my dad would come home late and I'd wait for him.
Uh-oh. Okay.
And as soon as I see him make it up the stairs and the scented light goes off, I'm like, okay, it's time. I run, I turn around, run to hide in the closet. That's what I usually do to scare my dad. I thought I was tough. One time I turned around, ran right dead into the corner of the closet. It hurt so fucking much. Hurt so much. But I didn't cry. I still wanted to scare my dad. Still wanted to scare my dad. So I hid in the closet, jumped out at him as he made up, and this is the one time he was horrified. He was horrified. Cause I have this split going down my forehead,
Yeah.
blood trickling down too, and my dad's like, "What the fuck happened to you?"
God.
I would never forget that day. Man, and I'm surprised I don't have a scar from that. But I do have this tiny scar, like right about here somewhere. And I was playing around with my uncle. You know, corner wall didn't do it. But have you seen those the red crates from Coca-Cola?
The red crate?
Yeah, so like the crates that hold the plastic bottles.
I can imagine it.
The stock
Not exactly.
ones.
Uh-huh.
So my dad owns a gas station. He's owned a gas station my whole life. The gas station is actually old as me, because that's how long he's had it. He got it right after he had me. And so we had one of those crates chilling around in the house. I got toys, but I didn't play with toys. Didn't care for them. I'd rather have a crate. I'd rather have a box. I'd rather have a crate. All these things. And so I was messing around with my uncle. Turned around to run away from him. Falls. Nails my forehead on the crate. This plastic hard crate. Gets a scar from that.
Mm-hmm.
But, you know, a corner of a wall definitely didn't do anything.
Yeah.
But yeah. Yep, that definitely, that's like how my elementary error looked like. It's a lot of like a lot of back and forth with my dad for sure. You know, as a kid, didn't really see my dad and all this stuff. My dad had a girlfriend when I was a kid too.
Okay.
Around like 3 years old. She's now his wife. But she used to like to go party a lot. And every moment or time I get with my dad, or get to hang out with my dad, sorry, that sounded wrong. Get to hang out with my dad, I wanted that time.
Yeah.
But it didn't really work out that way, you know, because priorities too. So on the weekends, my dad would go out, and I'd sit at the top of the stairs, crying, just crying. Why are you leaving me? Why can't you cuddle me tonight? Da 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 da. I rarely ever slept in the same room as my dad also. I grew up with my grandma taking care of me the most. And so I'd sit there, my dad leave, be like, be back soon. And I'd sit there and cry for hours until I'd pass out on the stairs. And my grandma, God bless her. Oh my gosh. She is an angel. But she would carry me, take me to the room, let me rest up, you know, sleep and all that. But yeah, that was a lot of on and off of those times too. Definitely a lot to my childhood. Um, yeah, yeah.
How much older are you than your siblings? You said you have 2, right?
I'm significantly older. It's really, really surprising to me too, because they make me feel old each time I see them. But my sister is 9.
Yeah.
And my brother is 7, and I'm currently 22.
Okay.
Yep. It's more common now, and I'm starting to see it more here, like now. But yeah, it was not common back then when I was younger. So I was like this weird kid with like significantly younger siblings. But yeah, my sister's older than my brother. She she is a P. She'll randomly call me because I haven't lived at home since I was 18. So she'll randomly call me and she'll be like, in Vietnamese, older sister Jihai, right? So she would call me and she'd be like, Jihai, what are you doing? Where are you? Da 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 da. And I'm like, yeah, I'm at work. Can I call you back later? Or like something like that, right? And then I call her and she'll like just rant about the things she likes. It's so cute. Super cute. My sister is an extreme extrovert.
Okay.
Like she is very, very extroverted. But my brother, on the other hand, 7 years old, the shyest introverted kid you'll ever meet. Oh my gosh.
Polar opposite.
Yeah, we're and I'm like the middle. I'm the middle between my family. Definitely. But yeah, my brother, he'll miss me and he'll randomly pop up to the phone when my sister calls me and say like, "Oh, I miss you." Blah blah blah, you know. Um, but he never does things on his own, which is kind of like a little sad to me, but at the same time, like he'll eventually grow out of
That's
it, type of thing.
so good.
Yep, exactly. But yeah, my siblings are awesome. They even though like I don't talk to them as much and I don't hang out with them as much, but we definitely have that bond for sure. That bond of, just siblings and all that stuff. I just wish I had more time around them. Uh, but hopefully soon. I am moving back to Washington eventually.
Uh-huh.
Uh, so
Yeah,
yeah.
we could get into that. So, you spoke a lot about elementary, so I guess you could
Mhm.
transition to middle school because I guess that's around the time when your siblings were born, either
Yep.
high school. You could
Yep.
also explain how your relationships like your dad and stepmom throughout those phases too.
Oh man. Middle school is probably the roughest for me. Definitely the roughest. Um, thank you. Hi. Sorry. But
Oh yeah, Peaches is looking at the
yep.
chat too, so your message sent. Wait, are you talking to us or? He's on the phone. Are you muted? Can't tell if she's talking to. You guys hear her? Peach, are you talking to your chat or something? Cause you've been muted this whole time. Oh my God, she might be deafened. What if? Oh. Hello? What's up, views? Hello, Peach. Alright, I'm about to open up her stream right now and tell her.
No.
Oh, you're back. What happened? Okay, what just happened? if she was explaining the story, then right there, we got it. Again, thank you to everyone for tuning in, and also just remember, there's 2 commands. Yes command, podcast command. You're really awesome. I'm very shy myself. Love hearts. Wait. No. No. Nothing yet. Is it because it's charging me?
Better? Yeah. Is it
Yes,
ready
I
now?
can hear you now.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Awesome.
You're gonna have to start over though.
No, you're all good. I just
Alright, cool.
realized it because I was like, wait, why can't I hear Wilson?
Yeah.
So where did I end on?
Well, I asked you the question and then I didn't hear anything after that.
Okay, so the question, to answer the question, since I'm gonna start over it on it, my middle school life, I definitely built a lot of friendships. Definitely some like really strong friendships. I have one that's viewing right now, as I was saying, my friend Kent. Um, Definitely met him in middle school. Wasn't really good friends back then, but now we're like friends, you know, like hang out, all that stuff. Um, but it was also an extremely rough time for me. I definitely did not enjoy it at all. I'd say middle school was the hardest time for me. I developed severe depression. This is when like my family split up. Also when I was 8. And so everything in that time frame kind of went downhill. Because I was used to having, you know, auntie as a mom. You know,
Yeah.
I knew her as mom. But, you know, just having that part missing from my life and learning that my actual mom was never a part of my life and all that stuff was hard. It was really hard. Um, but yeah, it was not fun. It was not a fun time at all. Um, Starting with middle school, I went to a middle school, a different middle school, let's say, for 6th grade. Was really behind on studies, simply on how bad I was in science, but also how bad I was at balancing my mental health. Kids bullied me, and this is, you know, where puberty is starting to become a thing.
Yeah.
I'm very small chested. Back then, I was very small chested, and I got bullied for that. Um, and I had all these cute like shirts with like nice V cut, blah blah blah. I got so bullied over it that I never wore a V cut shirt after that. All throughout school. They would make fun of me, they would pick on me, and this is also when I was going to Bible school too on Sundays.
Yeah.
My family's Catholic, so it was rough. Um, I would get physically harassed,
Physically?
physically, mentally, emotionally, verbally, just any form. I got I got it bad on Sunday school, and they would physically hit me inside of church.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, this is like
Like,
such a
you're talking about these
hypocritical.
kids or what?
Yeah, so
Boys and
I went to
girls.
boys and girls, because I was the outcast of that church. I didn't go to the same schools as them. I didn't do all these things like them. Um, and that's where I started becoming extremely introverted, extremely introverted. Um, but yeah, and this is when my dad decided he wanted to get married also. I was not pleased about that either. Definitely not pleased about that. Um, and then like a year later too, my sister was born. Me and my stepmom was this constant back and forth. Hi Andy. Um, constant back and forth, constant fighting. Just it was rough. Um, then I switched schools. I moved from one school to a different middle school that was a K through 8 school. Versus like a 6 to 8, it's a K through 8.
Oh wait, backtracking a little bit.
Yeah, go for it.
So, was your family aware of the bullying and stuff? Seemed like it.
Not at all. Um, so you remember how I told you how much of a badass my dad was?
Yeah.
Yeah, I told you how badly scared that kid was?
Mm-hmm.
I was even more scared than that kid of my dad. I was scared of my dad more than I was scared of death. That was how bad it was.
Really? Okay.
Yeah. I especially during my 6th grade because I was falling behind. My dad was, Asian family. He was very big on whoopings. Very big on whoopings. I was a clumsy kid too, so I got whooped a lot. So I'd rather not fight back, not say anything, keep everything on the DL, and I always thought that when I got bullied, it was my fault. I definitely assumed that being bullied was my fault too. So I did not want to tell my dad at all. My family also didn't know at all. Um, yeah, I was definitely one thing I learned about that though, now that I'm growing up, be more verbal about getting bullied. Um, be happier about standing up for yourself because there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with that. I had never stood up for myself all the way up until 2 years ago. I was very bad about that. Until I learned that it's fine. Like, don't take shit from nobody. Doesn't matter how old you are. Just because you're younger, it doesn't mean it's okay for people to disrespect you and bully you and all that. It's definitely not okay for anybody to get bullied. But also know when to say things and when not to say things, when to leave it alone and all that. But man, I just looking back at it, I was so scared of my dad that I'd rather get beaten to death. It's actually really sad now that we're having time to reflect back on it. I was so scared of my dad. He was very on it about school, about doing all these things for yourself to become successful and all that because my dad didn't have that much money. So that's all I knew in school was go to school. When I get bullied, leave it at that because I didn't even want to fight back. Like I was so scared of getting expelled or suspended, detention. I was so scared of those things. I kid you not, I was so scared because then my dad probably looked like what I assumed actually was my dad would look at it and see it as me being bad or me being causing it or whatnot, you know? And then I would
Yeah.
conclude it for myself that, you know, I get whooped over it or something, you know? And so, yeah, 6th grade, it was hard. Definitely hard. I had no friends at that school. Like, I had fake friends, you know, like those. There was 2 girls I remember, you know, they kind of used me kind of to push themselves higher and kind of used me as also like a pity party type of thing, you know? But after schools though, thank God for my cousin because she went to the same school as me. The after school, I was so scared of going home and you know dealing with at home things. Like me and my dad would always go back and forth with each other. My stepmom and I would go back and forth, and so it was, it was just an escape after school to go over to my cousin's, hang out with her, whatnot. I would actually sneak on the bus to go to her house. It was fucking wild. Uh, uh, fucking wild. I never got in trouble, never got caught. I was I was always going places, doing things with my cousin. And then I switched schools after that 1 year at that school. Moved over to the other school and you know, this is where all my awesome friends, now friends too, came from.
What was the reason
I
for the move? Was it just because you?
my my dad thought that this school was going to be a better school,
Okay.
and I was on board with it because I thought I wasn't going to get bullied at the school. So I was like, yeah, let's do it, you know. Yeah, let's change school, let's do it. I won't ever run into these people again, da da da, you know. Uh, so we switched schools, and I went from you know like a 6 through 8 to a K through 8. It was actually a really nice school. It was freshly rebuilt, and everybody had, or every grade had a pod. They were called pods. Um, so that level, there's doors that lead into that one section, and it'd be that grade, whatnot. The 6 through 8 had its own wing from the rest of the building, and yeah, it was it was really cool. This is when I started getting into ultimate frisbee. That way, you know, I could stay away from going home, uh, avoiding and all that. I made a friend that has always been there for people. Oh man, I'm gonna tear up over this.
Take your
Um,
time.
he was an awesome person. He was on the ultimate frisbee team, the friendliest person you'll ever meet. Um, he was always there for people, and one of my greatest friends. Um, he passed away about a few years ago because somebody murdered him. But just thinking back on that, like I used to cry at school from getting bullied. Uh, I used to cry at school, and he'll come up to me. He'll be like, "No, don't do that. Don't let the haters hate on you like that. Don't let them see you be at your lowest point." Da 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 da. Uh, and that helped a lot. That helped a lot. And when I was sad, it's always hugs, excitement, changing the topic. Uh, Also, like, he liked singing a lot. He liked singing a lot. Uh, he would have a ukulele, come to school, sing, hang out with all of us. He actually got me out of my shell, like avoiding people and all this stuff. He was definitely a very good influence to everybody. Uh, Getting bullied at the new school wasn't as bad as the old school because I did make a bunch of friends there. And also, this is where I started peeking at like my hunger. I would be so hungry. So before, when I was like in elementary, I would not like to eat. I hated food, could not stand that. Just nope. And then I hit I'd hit middle school, lunch comes around, I got free lunch, and I'd kill my lunch and then go around from table to table and freeloading off of people. It was so bad. And it was such a like common thing too, cause me and like three other kids who are like around the like the small, scrawny, short side would be the most hungry out of everybody in the lunchroom. And so we would just hop from table to table to table, eating everything and anything we could get our hands on. And it was wild. It was definitely wild. Um I enjoyed a lot of my time in middle school at the new school versus the old school. This is when ultimate frisbee became a thing, and I got my escape, but I was terrible at ultimate frisbee.
Yeah.
Kid you not, was the worst at it. I caught a frisbee with my face. And I emphasize on how clumsy I was. Um, Definitely every time somebody threw the frisbee at me during a game, as you can tell, during a game I tend to panic a lot. And so like during games, I could not catch shit. I did not know where to go, what to do, all that. But during like like scrimmage between friends and whatever, caught it, threw it, beautiful. Did you know goal, all that stuff. Like it was it was very interesting.
Yeah.
So yeah, uh and then my sister, she was growing up. My stepmom went to work, and she was in her infancy. My stepmom was like, I miss my old life, I want to go back to work, da 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 da. But my dad was also a really busy man. He got into his own hobbies. He likes building houses and renovating them and selling them and all that stuff too. My dad was busy, and it was me and grandma at home.
Uh-huh.
And so obviously my grandmother's older. I didn't want her to do too much. And so I would help out
Your sister.
with my sister, and it went from helping out to kind of being primarily there. When I get home, it'd be okay, watch your sister. Goes to watch my sister for hours. Um, Taking care of her, bathing her, feeding her, changing her. And eventually over, the years, she grew up a little bit, and it was my moment where I was like, fuck it, I'm never having kids. I'm like, I've done this. I don't think I ever want to do this shit again. Like, no thank you. And I was also like, always back and forth with my stepmom. 8th grade rolled around. I was actually an advanced kid in math until 8th grade rolled around. The reason why I say this is because we had a super racist teacher, but like racist in a good way where it benefit me.
Okay.
Oh man, and she because we were Asian kids, she would check our homework, but she would not actually check our homework. And this is when I started like getting the hang of it, understanding it. I was like, oh, okay, I can get out of this, you know. Oh, that's cool. That's cool. Um, but yeah, that getting the hang of it and understanding that she doesn't check it. So we have a composition notebook and a textbook, and so I would rewrite, like 1A, 1B, 1C, whatever, right, on the old homework and hand it in, and she'll just mark it correct 100%.
Oh. To that extent, okay.
Yeah, it was so bad. I kid you not. I don't know how I passed. So there's a state exam. Have a good night. But I don't know how I passed the state exam. Washington has a state exam, every year you have to take it to see where you're placed and all that stuff. But yeah, I don't know how I passed it, and I also was in advanced math. And so when I was in 8th grade, I would go to the high school, learn the high school math. I was like this 8th grader in a freshman class, freshman, sophomore class,
Yeah.
and all that stuff. And yeah, it was wild. I definitely was spending a lot of time messing around. I got into longboarding. Yeah, it was definitely not the greatest time. I have so many stories too with like ultimate frisbee. One story that I won't forget. Like we're playing ultimate frisbee, I don't get bullied. But my friends definitely made it really fun. The tension was frisbee, not other people. And I remember one time during lunch, one of my buddies took a step outwards to flick the frisbee, ripped his pants down the center of the seam. Down the center of the seam, and we all just hear him running into the building yelling, fuck. Middle school, by the way.
Yes.
Screaming, fuck! Running into the building, and we're like, what's going on? And you just see him running. Luckily, like, boys back then, they like to wear saggier pants. Or not saggier, but looser pants. And so, you just see his jeans flapping and, like, kind of, like, just rip. And the ankle, like, shin portion is, like, still sewn together. And it looks so stupid. It was so funny. My buddy that I was telling you guys about, that was an angel, is an angel now. He was very, very good at ultimate frisbee. Very good. He had the highest jump, and I remember one time I threw a frisbee a little bit too high. He jumped up to grab it, land on his ankle wrong, dislocated his ankle. Yeah, and so ambulance came in, got him, whatever. Next day he comes in a wheelchair. Or crutches. Next day he comes in crutches. You're not gonna believe this. He comes in with crutches the next day, and we throw a frisbee, and above the doors there's like this little like not mantle, but like portion that sticks out to prevent the rain coming over the door, or like when you open the door to go outside.
Yeah.
We threw it too high, but it was at the very edge. It landed on that. This dude, messed up ankle, cast on and everything, said, "Oh no, I got it." Jumps to go grab the frisbee,
Uh-huh.
comes back down, realizes that he doesn't have both legs to, balance, land on, and balance. Realizes that, lands on one foot, falls backwards, but falls so hard, like when you fall, you stick your arm back,
Yeah.
try to catch your fall. Dislocates his elbow. The very next day. The very next day.
Oh. You didn't want to
Yep.
use the crutches to get it down?
So he tried, but I don't know. I don't
Okay.
know what happened, what he did. But yeah, he landed, dislocated his elbow the very next day, and we're like, what the fuck? Like, what the hell? The day after that, he comes in, he goes, dude, the doctor fucked me up, blah blah blah. And I'm like, how? And he was like, so they're like, oh, this is gonna hurt. Do you want morphine? But they also gave me something to bite on, just in case, so I don't bite my tongue. And so he said yes, they heard no.
Oh. Uh-oh. Yeah.
No, that's not even the worst part.
Okay.
And they're like, okay, do you want us to do it fast or slow? He said fast. They heard slow. So they're like gradually putting his elbow back into place. And imagine how painful that would have been.
Especially when it's slow.
Yep, exactly. And so yeah, that was definitely one of my awesome stories for middle school that I will never forget for sure. But yeah. And then after middle school, we started leading into high school, where things are kind of getting better, but not really.
Okay.
My relationship with my stepmom was a very like here and there thing. Definitely went back and forth with my stepmom, but we didn't really do it face to face necessarily. And my dad always thought it was a great idea to deal with it one on one with each person instead of like kind of getting together and talking about it and all that. My grandma is a very strong woman, but also there's certain things where definitely fucked me up on. Reason I say that is because I never really wanted to call my stepmom mom. When I was, younger, we didn't have a relationship like that. She wasn't really a mother figure to me, but my grandma was very big on, well, if you don't want your dad to be sad, call her mom. This and that.
Nice.
And so I started calling her mom, and then the title mom definitely faded for me. Completely faded for me. And yeah, I remember, oh my gosh, so many bad stories about it. I remember one time my best friend of now 11 years, 12 years, rather, she got jumped after getting off the bus from school. And she was like around with my family a lot too.
By random kids?
Yeah, no, a woman.
Oh.
Like a woman, a full grown woman jumped her because she thought she was talking shit about her. And I came home, I told my family about it because it was, it was wild. My family knows who she is, and she's always at my house, and they're like, "Oh, well, where's Carmen? What's she doing?" And I was like, "Oh, like she just got dropped recently. She doesn't really want to leave the house, blah blah blah, whatever, right?" And then my stepmom was me and her. I was like, if that was me, like that would have not happened. I would have tried to fight back, blah blah blah, right? Carmen's not very like that. Um, and so I was like talking about it. My stepmom looks at me and she goes, "What are you gonna do? Like, you're so small, you're not gonna be able to do anything." I was like, "Say less." She goes, "Well, show me what you got then." Oh boy, did I enjoy this! I enjoyed it
He challenged you?
way too much. Yup, she
Spot.
challenged me on the spot.
Was
My
she
dad
mad
wasn't
or what?
downstairs. No, she was just like kind of like joking,
Okay.
but
You took it to heart.
I was like, "Oh, say less." And she goes, "Well, show me what you got." I was like, "You sure?" She goes, "Yeah, yeah. Like, I want to see if you can defend yourself." Blah blah blah. It's like, oh, bet. I took that opportunity. Let me tell you. So I walked up to her, picked her up, and slammed her on the ground. The first time I did it wasn't that hard. So she got up and she was like, "Oh, I wasn't ready for that. Like, I wasn't paying attention. I wasn't ready." I looked at her. I was like, "Okay." She goes, "Okay, let's go over here. There's more space over here." I was like, "Okay." So the second time,
Wait, what's the size comparison?
during that time we were both around the same size.
Okay.
Except she was heavier than me. So I was like 100 pounds. She was probably like, I'd say 140 to something like that, around there. Just pretty up there. Just a lot heavier than me. That's I know for sure. So I did it again. I picked her up and I actually full force slammed her this time. And boy did I enjoy that. I was like, "Okay, are we done now?" She goes, "Oh yeah, you definitely can defend yourself." I was like, "Okay, good night." And I walked upstairs, happy as shit, went to bed, had the greatest fucking sleep of my life. Oh my god. And ever since then, from that time onwards, anytime me and her went back and forth about anything, it was always right before I walked out the door or right before she walked out the door. And she'll usually choose the time where right before I walk out the door I'm late. So yeah. But definitely throughout my high school was wild too. I got in a relationship freshman year of high school. It was probably the most toxic, horrendous relationship I ever had.
First one?
First one of my life. Like first serious one at least. Oh man, shy. I am definitely the same type of person now. But yeah. So back to my story. So I got into a relationship, and actually, it definitely started as a joke between me and my ex best friend. So
Wait, you
there's
say
the
X?
ex best friend. Yep.
Okay.
One of like we used to be really good friends, and over time we fell off, but we can get into that later. But there was a group of 4 of us. Me, my friend Crystal, my friend Rika, which I have not talked to, and I definitely can hear your family.
Yeah.
I was like,
well,
is
it's
that
like
Vietnamese?
they're friends
Or
and
like...
stuff. Sorry.
No, you're all good. I was like, oh man,
Dude,
sound like
yeah,
I'm
I'm not.
home. I was like, dang, I feel like I'm at home at a house party. But yeah, so me, the four of us, and my ex-friend
I'm lowering my
Peabody.
volume.
No, you're all good. You're all good.
All right.
But yeah, so we would walk the halls, and my high school was in a square shape, and there's a courtyard in the middle, so it's like this weird square shape. Second floor, would walk past like my math class, and there'd be during lunch there'd be these. Oh, actually, they were there before class, during lunch, and like at the end of the day they would stop by or they would leave. But they hang out in that one spot all the time by the lockers, and me and my ex-best friend both was like, oh, they're cute, they're really cute, da 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 da. And her and I, this is where, Sriracha, when he's like, oh, you challenge him and say do the opposite and he'll just still do it type of thing. That was me. That was me. Like, I was bold. I got into like this really bold type of personality, and I've been like that since. Um, and so like half a year goes by, maybe like December, I think. My my friend goes, I thought she liked the shorter one, which is his brother, my ex's brother.
Uh-huh.
And I like the taller one, the lighter one. But just so happens later I found out that she liked him too. And so she was like, bet you won't give him a kiss. I looked at her, I was like, bet. She goes, bet you won't get a kiss and get his number. Something like that, right? I looked at her, I said, bet.
As a freshman.
As a freshman. And he was a junior. I was like,
okay.
yup.
Yeah.
Yup. So I looked at her, I said, bet. Say less. So, took that bet on. A day rolls by. She's like, are you gonna do it or not? I was like, oh shit, bro, I totally forgot. Lunch rolls by. He's hanging out with, like, my friends. And so I walked up to him, and I looked at him. I was like, hey, you see her over there? I made a bet with her that I'd give you a kiss and get your number.
Yeah.
And he was like laughing nervously. So I like tippy-toed up, because he was significantly taller. Tippy-toed up, pecked him on the cheek. I was like, all right, number. I was like, all right, number. Here's my phone.
Yeah.
And then we started talking and talking for a bit, and then all of a sudden he's like, hey, like, do you want to be my girl? Da 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 da. I was like, yeah.
That was like the start.
I would like to.
And then it escalated.
Yeah, and he was the sweetest thing you've never met. He's super kind, super cool, blah blah blah. And then the verbal abuse started rolling around. Mismatched socks wasn't okay. I also was on the cheer team. Makeup, like I was not allowed to have too much makeup. I definitely hear karaoke in the back.
Yeah, I'm
You're all good.
trying to filter that out. It's gonna get louder and louder, so that's why I had to really prepare for this.
You're all good. I'm used to things like that, because I grew up with that. But I totally get it. But yeah, and then started falling with mental abuse, because I turned to him about, my family problems. When I have issue with my family, my dad specifically, or my stepmom, when we get in a fight, I would talk to him about it. And he'd be like, oh, why are you so negative? why are you so this? Why can't you just do this? Da 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 da.
Yeah.
And so we split up. After a year, we split up.
Like you couldn't take it
And
anymore.
yeah, I couldn't take it anymore. I was like, I'm tired of this. Like, I can't handle it.
Mm-hmm.
It was just too much. I just need time for myself. Sophomore, junior year rolled around. Sophomore. So we broke up for about 6 months, 8 months, somewhere around there. And man, I was a bad fucking kid, and my dad doesn't even know half of it. So I'm about to sit here and expose myself on it.
Here we
So
go.
we broke up. My oh my gosh, I have so many stories throughout my high school. It was so bad. I would sneak out, go to my friend's house, and my ex best friend's house. We would buy a bottle. I had a lot of older friends.
Okay.
We would buy a bottle. We would go. Don't do this, kids. But
Don't do this.
we would buy the bottle. We would get. Oh my god. I would. I didn't realize this until like a year ago, but we would steal like her family wouldn't be home, so we'd steal a random car, whichever car that was there. Usually it was a Honda Pilot,
Mm-hmm.
and I was the one who had the license. And we'd steal that car, and we would drive to like Bellevue, Washington, or like Redmond, Washington.
Yeah.
And we got there, drink, have fun. 3 a.m. rolls around, and 3 a.m. would roll around. I had a really high metabolism. I'm thinking it's because my mom drank so much when she had me.
Mm-hmm.
But 3 a.m. rolls around, and we'd rush home. I'd Uber back to my parents' place. My dad has 3 sets of stairs. I was on the 2nd floor of the house. And so I don't know how, but I would make my way up the stairs into my room super quietly, sleep for 2 hours, and do that shit again the next day. Oh my god. um, and I did this for good amount of time. And I think a couple of the memorable ones was when my what's it called? My friends would be like, "Hey, let's link up. You're single." And she would, bait me off into her group of friends. And one time I got my heart really broken because I started talking to a new person, and got my heart broken. Went to go buy a bunch of bottles. I had one dedicated bottle of Hennessy to myself. Like the big.
Sophomore year, right?
Huh?
Sophomore year?
Yeah, sophomore, junior year around there. Um, family situation hasn't changed, still the back and forth. And I would always turn to her, and we would always hang out and all that stuff. But bought a bottle for myself. We also bought the devil's lettuce. This is the first time I ever got cross-faded in my whole entire life. I also stole my dad's car. I was like, fuck it, I don't care. Stole my dad's car, and I parked it on the side of the street, threw the car in neutral, let it roll down the hill, and then start the car. That way
Jeez.
my dad did not hear that I started the car. He would think like the neighbor started the car and took the car. We went to Alki Beach. I invited somebody, and he invited like a couple of his friends, and one of his friends it was his birthday. So we decided to turn up. I gave, like the 4 or 5 bottles to everybody. I was like, this one is mine. I am heartbroken and I am sad. This story is a really good one. So, I drank half the bottle and smoked a blunt and a half, shared between me and my friend. And we were hanging out by the docks. And at this point, like, I was gone. And I'm just sitting on this dude's lap, chilling. And I brought 3 of my friends, and he brought 3 of his friends. And I hear one of my friend go, do you think we can get the rats high? And I'm like, what the hell? Like, what the fuck is going on? And then I hear the follow up to that. Do you think we can get fishes high? And at this moment, I'm like, oh fuck. And she's not that bright. She's not that bright. And so, but I'm like so zooted, so out of it. I couldn't even move my body, so I'm like chilling like this on the dude. And I'm like, yo, can someone go get her? Can someone please go get her? And she goes, how far is the jump from here to the water? I was like, bro, someone go get her. Like, someone needs to go get her. I swear to God, she's gonna jump. So it's like a dock, but at the bottom is like a bunch of rocks and then water. And that drop is not pleasant. That drop is not pleasant at all. And I was like, someone go get her. Go get her. And then eventually they grab her. And they were like, okay, we're gonna go back to the car now, just in case. And I was like, okay, sounds good. I don't think I can move. And in that time frame of, her saying all these things, I finished the other half of the bottle of Hennessy by myself. And so now it's like really, really hitting me. And I got very nauseous after they left. Well, not nauseous, I was so high that it just felt like this feeling of something's eventually gonna come up. And so I'm like chilling on this dude's lap still. And I was like, hey, I think I might vomit. He goes, what? And so we're on this bench. Let's say this is the bench, you sit here, and this is the back side, and this side is grass.
Yeah.
So he throws me off. Full force just throws me off of him. I'm like, toppled over. And he like picks me up and like flips me leaning against the bench. And I just spill. And I was so gone that I didn't even feel it. It was just fluid. And eventually, because I've been spitting out all the alcohol, I just started sobering up.
Just like that.
Just like that. But I wasn't sober enough. So I look at the clock and I'm like, 3:30. 3:30! 3:30! I was like, okay, I gotta go. I collect all my shit, run to the car, and inside the car there's bottles, there's a bunch of drinks, there's a bunch of snacks, there's weed, all up the back of the 4Runner. It was a 4Runner, by the way. All up the back of the seat, because we laid it down flat so that way we can do it, but it's felt. I'm like falling over because I'm not I'm still under the influence, but I'm not blacked out at this point. Just look at my car, I'm like, fuck, and I gotta get this clean. So I just grab shit from my trunk and just start chucking it back out, like back. And I hear one of his buddies go, "Bro, she just fed me for a whole week."
Interesting. Okay.
That's how much food and drinks I had in the back of the car. And then my buddy goes, "Hey, are you sure you're good to drive?" I was like, yeah, I'm pretty sure I am. Like, I feel very sober right now. Little did I know, I had moments that I was blacking out without realizing it. So I get in the car, we all leave. My friend she was so out of it, she couldn't even get in the car. She was like halfway out of the car, halfway in the car, just laying across the bench. And so we're like tossed her in the car. And because I was, dehydrating myself, my friend decided she wanted to give me the bubble tea just so I can rinse it down, whatnot. So, drank the bubble tea. Taro bubble tea. And I'm like driving, and it's probably like a mile that I drove, where I just had in and out moments where I was like, oh, like I remember driving this. And I'm like, oh shit, I'm fucking driving. And I pull over, I was like, oh hell no, like I'm not doing this. I'm not driving under the influence. I'm also 16. This is jail time, DUI, all this stuff, And so I pull over, and I was like, hey, I'm not sober enough to drive. And my friend hands me a phone. I was like, I need to call somebody to come get us. And she hands me a phone, and I was so gone. I looked at this, and I looked at her, and I was like, what is this sorcery? I was like, what is this sorcery? I don't know how to work it. And so she's like, here, unlocks my phone, hands it to me. I called my friend. I was like, hey, can you come back? He was like, oh, I'm almost to Bellevue already. I was like, shit, okay. Call like another person. I was like, hey, can you come get me? I'm too blasted to even drive home. So he comes and gets me, gets all of us, drops my friend off. In that time frame where we were waiting for him to come get us, I ended up vomiting again. But this time, purple came up. And I looked at it. This is funny as hell. I looked at it. I looked at my friends. I was like, is this normal? Not registering the fact that I drank bubble tea, by the way. I was like, nobody replies. I was like, okay. I guess normal. And so we dropped off my friends. And I didn't even remember that we dropped them off. Did not remember at all. Got home. And I was like, hey, dude, can you park a little bit further down the hill? Cause like, I ain't trying to get in trouble. And I somehow made it home safely, thank God. Went around the house, up a set of stairs, down a set of stairs, up a set of stairs, and up another set of stairs. Blasted out of my mind. And did not make a single noise, and my dad didn't even know. At all. And next day, my dad goes, hey, since there's so many of us, we have to take the Forerunner. And I was driving that car to school. And I registered what we were doing the day prior. So I rushed to the car. I was like, yeah, okay, we can take the Forerunner. I just gotta clean it. I've been making a mess. I haven't cleaned it in a while. I go to the car, open the car door. Just a smell of weed just coming out. And we're supposed to go to church. Mind you, I'm still not sober. I'm still out of it a little bit. Just a smell. And I go through this panic mode. I reverse back into like the garage area, vacuuming it. It would not come out. Just tiny little bits were stuck on the back seat. I was like, oh my god, what the hell am I gonna do? Vacuuming it. Febrezed it. Nothing. Laundry soap. Nothing. It just stunk. And And I was like, I got an idea. I know what can overpower any smell. And you're gonna laugh at this. I took fish sauce. A whole full bottle of fish sauce. And dumped it into the back portion of the car. Completely submerged the smell. Smell was gone. And we took the car to church. My dad gets into the car. And my dad's like, why does it smell like fish sauce? And I was like, oh, you know, I bought this like plate of food. It's I fucking forgot what it's called. Oh, it's called buntito. I was like, you know, the fish sauce in that, you know, fell over as I was driving and it spilled all over the car. My dad bought it, and I fucking don't know how, but I got away with it. I completely got away with it. Oh man. So yeah, that was one of like the many stories of what the hell I did in high school. And later on, you know, like few months of like doing that stupid crap, right? Um I got back from my ex. My dad saw him, so I did running start. I don't know if you know what running start is.
No, but which X? The first one?
The first one. The first one. Um I don't know why the hell I thought it was a great idea, but I did it. So I did running start, so I was in college as a sophomore, junior, whatever. And he was at the same college with me. And he didn't have his, or he had his license, but he refused to drive, so I'd have to drive.
What's the gap? The time gap between not like being with him and then getting back together?
6 to 8 months. 6 to 8 months.
Wait, we're talking about high school still, or
High
you said?
school still.
Oh, okay, okay.
So I did running start, so I ended up going to college while I was still in high school.
Oh, that's what it
So,
is. Okay, I know what you're talking about.
yep,
Okay.
yep. And so, um, I did that and got back with him, and I was still doing stupid shit. But this is also when I started learning how, or not learning how to drive, but you know, started driving more often. I drove up to school, and I'd go pick him up. Hey girl, good girl, good. I'd go pick him up. We'd go to school, and I used to work in downtown Seattle, so I'd drive to downtown Seattle. One time he was like, "Oh, one of our friends had a graduation party," and before the party, I went to go pick up my friend, and got in my first car accident. Car sped past me from a red light going like 45 to 60 range, like within that range, and it's only like a 25 to 30 miles an hour road. Scared the shit out of me, so I pulled my steering wheel in, I hit the car on the inside. And I felt bad. It was a parked car, so I went searching for the person. I ended up being unlucky because I guess this is the second time someone hit the car, and I was like, oh, you know, like, I don't want to call the cops. I don't want to, you know, get in trouble. He was like, well, I've had this happen before. I can't let you off, unfortunately, because my car got damaged and it never got fixed, blah, blah, blah. I was like, okay, whatever, you know. He goes, I do appreciate you coming in and letting me know, blah, blah, blah. But if it didn't happen in the past, then I would have let you off. And I come home, like, I called my dad, told him about it. I come home. My dad's like, well, I was like, I already said I'm going to this party. Da, da, da. He goes, well, you're in trouble. You're paying for the damage. Blah blah blah. And I was like, okay, fine. I was like, it's honestly completely on accident. Like my peripheral wasn't that much. I got scared. The car sped past me. You know, like I didn't know what to do. And he was like, whatever. Me and him went back and forth about it. And my stepmom butted in, and my dad, you know, just talked about it. I was like, well, I'm not, you know, like I'm not making that much money. This is my first accident. I didn't mean to do this. Blah blah blah. You know, my dad let me off. He was like, all right, I'll pay for the damage this time and get it fixed. But next time, you're not getting a pass. You're paying for it. Whatever. So I go to this party. He let me off. He let me drive to this party. Whatever. Um, I went over there, hanged out with them. But as I walked out the door, my stepmom's like, you're paying for the damages. I don't care what your dad say. You're paying for the damages. He doesn't need to spend money on that. Your accident, your mistake, blah, blah, blah. What pissed me off was she was the one that made me go get my license at 16 years old. I was like, I was more than happy to not do it, you know? I was more than happy to not do it. I was more than happy to wait another 2 years, not spend money on going to school for it and all that stuff, you know? But she made me do it. I was like, fine, whatever. Did it and got my license. So like she turned around. My dad's like, oh, I'm gonna get you a small car, just, you know, just so it's safer, it's smaller, you don't have to worry about too much, whatnot, you know? But then he turns around because my stepmom said, oh, well, you have the Tacoma and the 4Runner. What are you gonna do with one of the cars, son? Just let her use it. I was like, no, like I'm not comfortable using that car. It's such a big car, whatever. Yeah, so she turned around, nipped me, and this is why I like lost my shit over it. There was so much happening in that time frame too. We constantly went back and forth. I was always a hungry kid during that time too, and so I ate food out of the fridge, and I would have leftovers because I would like overestimate it, but I was also forgetful, so I'll leave it sitting in the fridge. And so we were already going back and forth about that stuff, and this was like my final draw. I leave for the party, I'm hanging out with them, having fun, and I get more text about it. And so I get enraged. I get so enraged about it. Went home, dropped off the car, and then snuck out to go back to the party. Went back to the party, got super drunk, but as I'm like drinking, my ex was not necessarily okay with me being like more than 3 feet from him. Yeah, and I started learning these things too. And we were like talking about stuff and the relationship, and we were like okay during that time. But still, the controlling this was a thing, and I didn't even realize it. And eventually, I got belligerently drunk because all his friends were like, "Yeah, fuck it, let's drink. You don't have to drive. We can drive you home." Blah blah blah. And I'm already like enraged. So I was like sitting there taking a shot, crying about my family issues, crying about the fact that I got in a car accident early in the day, how horrendous my dad allows my stepmom to act, just crying, shot, crying, shot. And eventually I realized I've had too many. And I was also very clingy with my ex. So I'm like, too many shots. My stomach's not happy. Head in a full dirty trash bag. My head was in a full dirty trash bag for the rest of that night. And I'm sitting there and I look around and my ex was gone. And I'm like, where did he go? Everybody's leaving me. Everybody's abandoning me. No one loves me. Da 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 da. Head and back. This head cries, stops, not. The youngest kid there, he's awesome. He's one of my friend's brother. Over here, like patting me. He goes, "No, no, he'll be right back. You're okay. It's okay." Da 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 da. Sitting there comforting me. And I'm like, oh man, it was so bad. And I sobered up from it. My friends drove me home. Same concept, making up all the way up those stairs. Dad didn't find out. And then July 4th was that weekend, I think. Then I got upset. Because I was like, damn, this is not fair. Because my dad says one thing, but whatever my stepmom says goes. And so, man, I got mad, packed all of my shit up on July 4th, and left. I ran away from home. And so I went to my ex's house that night, slept over, spent the night, and I was like, the next day I was like, fuck it, I'm going to go, what's it called? Go get a new phone number. That way my dad can't track me. Blah 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 blah. Got a new phone, got a new number. That are my dad didn't realize I ran away from home until 5 days later. Yep. Which was really shocking, knowing the fact that, he's like super on it with me, not okay with me, doing things and all this stuff. So yeah, ran away from home. I was like, and my dad found out. He's like, come home, blah blah blah. Ignore. Come home, blah blah blah. Ignore. Come home, blah blah blah. Ignore. For like 2 days, and eventually he came up with something to threaten me with. He goes, "Oh, I'm going to report you to the cops. This and that, third. If you don't come home, blah 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 blah." So eventually I was like, well shit, I don't want to be in trouble with the cops, I don't want to have anything on my case, and I left his place and I went home. And he picked me up and I was like, well, I would have never ran away from home if it wasn't for her. She's a horrible human. She hates you, blah blah blah. Like, she hates me and you don't even care. He goes, well, I deal with it differently. I deal with it when hi Austin. I deal with it all the time, whatever, And yeah. My dad and her had a talk and he was like, took me home that night. And this was my first attempt at my life. I was not happy to be brought home. I was tired of like everything that's happening at home. Sick of it. My grandma, she's crying. I'm crying. I'm upset. I'm tired. In my window, it's on the second floor. The net is out because I sneak out. And I walked over there. I was like, I don't even want to be alive anymore. And I'm like sitting at the edge and contemplating. And my dad yanks me off of there. And like we sit there and I'm just crying, bawling my eyes out. And I ran off to the bathroom and I just start putting. And it was bad. It was so bad. I just did not want to be alive. I did not want to be in that household. Did not want to exist at all. And I was like, I can't sleep here at night. I can't be around you. I can't be around anybody. Especially right now. if you allow me to go to my best friend's house and stay over there, I promise I'll come home. I won't do anything stupid. I won't take my life, whatever. And I'm on the phone with her right now at that time too, and I'm like crying and just losing it over it. I was just not happy, not wanting to be around at all. See, I stopped, going at it, and my dad's like, all right, well, agree to me letting me clean it up, whatever. Cleaned it up, bandaged it, and he takes me over to my friend's house. Yeah, my best friend's house. I slept over there. She's over here comforting me. She's the only one that could talk me down from anything. I was very codependent on her. But yeah, and eventually, me and my ex was pissed at me, yelling at me, telling me how stupid I am, how negative I am, blah blah. And that didn't help me either. But yeah, yep. But man, no, it was rough. It was so rough. And then eventually, I 18 hits, and before 18 hits, my ex was constantly, you can't do this, you can't talk to this person, you can't do this to that. I was into cars, import modeling, all this stuff, and I wanted to become one. And he was like, no, you're gonna look like a whore, da da da. And he was just dragging me down for it. And he started becoming physically abusive, along with mentally, verbally, and all this other stuff. And so I was like, I threw a house party at my house when my dad was out of town for Christmas and stuff. And he tried to take advantage of my friend. Definitely tried to take advantage of my friend, my best friend of like 11 years, 12 years now. Tried to lie about it. I told our group of friends. So our group of friends is like the guys and the girls, which is all the girlfriends and all the boyfriends. And we're all like a group of friends, tight knit, nobody else, nobody in, nobody out. Simple as that. And I told them about it. They're like, no, 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 like, you're just tripping. And she's just tripping. You guys were under influence, blah, 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 blah. And that's when I just started, like, realizing things that, like, it's not okay. Like, it did happen. I'm not tripping, blah, blah, blah. Like, he attempted to cheat on me too, and whatnot. And I was like, you know what? I'm done. So after my birthday, a couple days, like weeks roll by. I don't remember too clearly. And I was like, you know what? Fuck it. I'm done. I'm not dealing with your shit no more. We're barely in a relationship. We argue every time we see each other. You're very abusive, blah, blah, blah. Done. Ends it. At his house. And as I'm like trying to leave, he grabs me and he holds me and he's like, no, I'm going to off myself. I'm going to do this. I'm going to blah, blah, blah. You're not allowed to leave. Don't leave me, blah, blah, blah. And then eventually physically hits me too. And I'm like, damn, like I gotta get out of this. So I was like, okay, you have 2 weeks to get it together. Let me go home now. I have to go home, you know. And yeah, I leave. I was like, nah, never happening again. And so I go hang out with some friends. They just so happen to be guys. And he got mad. I went to a rave with my guy friend, and my guy friend's like, so lucky to have you, like the rave is called Lucky. So he captioned the photo of us. Oh, so lucky to have you. And he thought I was cheat. cheating on him. And posted explicit on Instagram of me. And I didn't know that he had that stuff. Did not know at all. And at this point I'm still scared of my dad. So my dad still does not know about this stuff. And he just found out like 2 years ago maybe. But at that point I didn't tell my dad. I get a call from my friend. He's like, "Hey, go whatever you do, don't check out your ex's Instagram. Just call the police." I'm like, "Call the police for what? What are you talking about?" He goes, "Just don't open up Instagram. You just don't do it. Just call the police. And when you get to the police, then open your Instagram." It's like, I don't know what the fuck you're talking about. Why the hell do I need to do that? Didn't listen. Opens my Instagram. I'm physically tagged in the photo. I was like panicking, crying, calling him, calling his parents, calling him. Like, what the fuck is going on? Like, why is this okay? Blah, blah, blah. Whatever. And I got severely traumatized from that. Usually when I dressed around that time for like 3-4 years I was covered from head to toe because it made me feel so disgusting. And yeah, and so like I went over to his house, grabbed all of my leftover shit that was there, grabbed all of the shit that I bought him and that he never paid me back for. And yeah, and I like reported him to the college. He got expelled from this college. And his brother found out, and he calls me and he goes, "You know my brother's not a bad person." I'm like, "Your brother's not a bad person?" And they both have a younger sister. So I was like, so imagine that happening to your younger sister. Would you be okay? Would you think the guy is not a bad person? He goes, "That's not the point. Da 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 da. You shouldn't have went after his education. Da 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 da. This and that, third." And yeah, yep. That was my high school life. And then 18 hits. This is like past that relationship, and I dealt with 4 years worth of that total. 4 years worth of that abuse. 18 hits. I'm still dealing with family issues, and I moved out. I was like, fuck it, not gonna deal with this anymore. Don't want to be around this, toxicity. Moved out. I got a new boyfriend. And we got a place together. We moved out. I just went back to school for college, but it was hard. Living alone on your own and going to college is hard. Definitely not something I would suggest. But yep. But this is when I started getting into hobbies that I like. I liked cars. I liked drifting. I liked import modeling. All this stuff. So I got into import modeling. I would do it on the weekends. Made wonderful friends that we're still friends till this very day. I did a lot of car shows, car events. Got to see drifting a lot, and more realizing that I genuinely love cars so much. Went to school. School just started getting really hard because I couldn't balance life and school as well. So I like dropped out of college just quit, and went to work full time. I did a lot of events. I would go up to Canada a lot. Vancouver, Canada. I had a lot of friends up there. We used to go hang out, do things like car meets, car shows, and all that stuff. And eventually, I bought a car. I bought a Honda Civic Coupe '07. Hated that car. I feel like out of all the cars I've owned, that was probably my most dinkiest car ever. And it was stick. Oh god. I learned how to drive stick by myself on another person's car. Cause he was like, oh yeah, it's already damaged. I don't care what you do to it. I gotta get it fixed anyways. I was like, bet. So I learned, and when I had that car, it was pretty hard because it was a little bit different. It was a 5-speed instead of 6, or 5 gear instead of 6 gear. Anyways, but yeah, it was weird. Did not like it. And we had this massive hill from my school going up to my house. Front wheel drive, hill, stick, steep hill. Every time I'd drive it, I'd pray to God that the light would be green at the top of the hill, or else I'd be fucked. I'd hope the car behind me would give me enough space. That way, if I roll back, I don't hit them. And so I pull up to the top of the hill, and if it hits red, I die internally. Pull the e-brake, do a front wheel burnout, trying to get up this fucking hill. That was like my ritual. And eventually, I was like, fuck it, I'm never taking this road again. I'm gonna take the long way home. But yeah. And with that, during that time too, I had a new relationship. He was awesome. We did a lot of eating. A lot of eating. We went out, ate almost every single day. It was so bad. But I got to like go to a bunch of new restaurants and all that stuff. That was fun. That was fun. And we also did like, traveling. Oh my god. From 18 to like 20, like when I just turned 20, I did a lot of traveling. I went to New York, I went to Cali, I went to Denver, went to a couple of places. Jesus. A couple of places.
You mean like the
But
two of you?
yeah.
How'd
Yep.
you guys meet?
He messaged me on Instagram. And he was like, oh, I like your content, blah, blah, blah. It was just like casual things. And I was like, oh, yeah. He was like, oh, thank you for supporting. He had a Rocket Bunny FRS. I was like, yeah, of course. I fucking love cars. Da 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 da. He was like, oh, let's hang out. Let's do this sometime. I was like, sure. First time I met him, I went to his house. But I was also paranoid as fuck. So living in, Seattle and working downtown, I always carried a knife with me just in case. So I like went to his place, pull out my knife, slam it on his table, pull out the rest of my crap in my pocket because I refused to carry a purse. Refused to carry a purse during that time. So I like pull everything out, knife, slam on the table, turns around and goes, hi. Just casually like act like I didn't fucking do that. But yeah, that's literally how we met. Instagram, we talked a lot, hanged out a lot. And it was just kind of like something comfortable for me. Especially, I definitely didn't take enough like time for myself between my ex in this new relationship, I've learned. But it kept me comfortable. I have someone to talk to. Eventually, like, he understood my situation. My family allowed me to move in with him and all this stuff. Um, and so yeah, it was not it was not necessarily like one of those like awesome relationship. It was just kind of like a relationship that we were just chilling in. If that makes sense. Uh, it wasn't a terrible one either. Like it was just, I guess, a rebound, a rebound relationship. But yeah, we're friends to this very day. But um, we ended up getting a house in Washington, a super small house, but it was a house. And it was a constant cleaning up after him. And yeah, it was kind of tiring. And I definitely was one of those pedestal type of like, or sorry, trophy type of relationship where he's like, yeah, because I got her, she's hella pretty, this and that, she's a model. I get to flex this off, but I don't really care about it, type of thing. So yeah, it was one of those relationships towards the end, and I went on a trip to Vietnam by myself. And during my trip, I came to the realization of like, this is not what I want. This is not what I'm enjoying. Like, this is not great to me. Blah blah blah. It also made it worse because I ended up buying the Rocket Bunny off of him, and I had it for a year, and I fixed it up completely. Wrapped it myself, and did all these new things to it. And he convinced me to sell the car because he worked in downtown and we should downsize. We don't need two cars, saves us money, blah, blah, blah. Took me a minute. And I was trying to sell it for more because I put so much money into it. But he was so eager to get rid of it that he sold it for 12. The car was worth 22. And he sold it for 12, which is whatever is left at the loan on the loan for it. But yeah, I was definitely sad. Definitely do plan to build a car again. Um, yeah, yeah. Um, hit 20, got out of that relationship, got into a new one like 4 or 5 months after. That didn't last long. It was like a couple months long.
Your second one just ended like that?
Yeah, it just ended like that. Like I was like, I'm sick of this. Okay, bye.
Okay.
It was just like that. There was not much to it, honestly. The whole relationship was pretty boring in general. Fun, like spontaneous, did a bunch of fun spontaneous adventurous things. I got into modeling, I got into doing so many things that I thought I'd never be able to do. And then yeah, that was just about it. There was not too much to that relationship. But yeah. And then I got out of that, got into a new one. That didn't last long, but we're really, really good friends now. I care for him a lot. He's one of like my closest friends. Um, and our group of friends are all friends with each other, so we're civil and all that stuff, and it's nice. Um, yeah. And then after that, I can you tell the trait that I don't know when to take a break for myself? Oh.
I'm not judging.
But out of that relationship, I got into another one. You said I'm not judging. Highs over here says I am fine. Leave me alone. And then I got into this one.
That was, wait, how many is that so far?
4.
Okay, so
This
this
is
is
the
fifth.
fourth one. This
Oh,
is this is the fourth one.
okay. Go ahead.
But yeah, I got into a relationship. Everything was smooth sailing. I was like, this is when COVID started becoming a thing. I was living 2 hours from work. I was so broke.
You want to start with like how you met and all that? Just... Okay.
Only reason is because literally 2 feet from me. I'll go over it one day later on, like in the near future, but I definitely don't want to at the moment, just cause, yeah. But yeah, I just packed all my shit, moved here for him, and yeah, the yeah. I'm trying to avoid talking about it, just just in case, you know. But I am eventually moving back to Washington. My grandmother has cancer. Um, and so I want to be able to spend time with her, you know, whatever time she has left. She's in her 90s now, like she's not young. And time is coming really, really close for her. Really close. Um, so like, you know, you just want to be able to spend time and take care of her and spending, you know, enjoying every moment you get. Recently, I've realized how much more important that is to me now too. I went back to Washington in August and caught COVID out there. Was not fun at all. Was not fun at all. I was asymptomatic, but it made my stomach tear a lot worse. Um, and so eventually I got, you know, like 2 negative COVID tests, and I had a few days there with her left. And growing up, you know, we shared the same room. She would cuddle me asleep, and um, cuddle me asleep, and just being with me all the time. You know, when I was younger, I took one night out of my trip, went up in there, just snuggled up right next to her, and I was like, man, like we're getting old. Time is flying. Like you don't realize it until you get those little moments that you used to have when you were younger, you know? And I was like, I wish I had more ability to be able to do this, be there for her, be by her, you know, spending time with her and all this stuff. And so pushing at that, definitely. And then eventually getting my own place and all that. So yeah. Yep. Any specifics you'd
So,
like to know?
so that's like up to date now. We're like good.
Yep. Up to date now.
How would you compare yourself from before to now as a person?
Less naive. I was a very naive person. Um, I was definitely really reckless too. Um, I have I have this thing called borderline personality disorder. I don't know you know what it is. Um, so basically what it is a person or a mental illness that develops when you're in your adolescence, and it creates a lot of emotional instability, a lot of like impulsive behaviors, distorted self-image, unstable relationships, and all that. You basically see black and white, so it's always like it's whether it's our sorry, let me fix that. It's either this or this. There's no middle ground on it at all whatsoever. Um, I didn't know how to control my emotions back then. I didn't know how to verbally express myself and express things. Um, yeah, but now I'm just like on a good roll. I've realized, like if you can't change it, then why stress about it? Or if you can't control it, why stress about it, And I'm also more vocal about how I feel about things. Like, I'll be upfront and forward about it. If I don't like it, I don't like it. I'm gonna tell you I don't like it. Or if I like it, I like it. Or if you're doing something that's very disrespectful to me, I'm going to say something about it. Like there's no pass. I'm not gonna let it pass. But I also know when to not say something. Like certain times. Like the recent event that happened with us in the Discord. Like I know when to not say things. But before I definitely would have gave everybody a pass and then bottle all that up and then get really upset about it and then kind of just lash out. But yeah, significantly, I would say I'm significantly different. I'm also more mentally stable. I'm able to keep my, mental state at a like calm, collected, cruising um phase, I guess. I'm not always like constantly like losing my mind about things and getting upset or hurt about anything. Um, I'm also becoming more aware of my surroundings, being cautious about certain things too. But yeah, definitely. I'm spontaneous, but I don't do reckless, impulsive behaviors anymore. I'm more cautious about that for sure. Yeah.
All right. What are your aspirations and goals as of now?
Oh man, I have so many. My aspiration and goals definitely is number one, moving home. Moving home is like my aspiration goal right now. But when I move home, I am planning to stay with my buddy for a while, renting his place for quite some time, and then buying my own place. I also really, really want a 180XX. That's literally all I want. A 180SX. Uh, I would. I'm planning to eventually build that car. But yeah, that's my big, big goal. It's not even that like I plan to buy a house, but my bigger goal is getting that dream drift car. But yeah.
Speaking on like cars, being in that scene, right? Import modeling and stuff. Wanna give us like a better perspective of what it's like in that scene and any crazy stories, whatnot?
Gosh, absolutely. Hold on, like give me 1 second. Let me grab something.
Yeah, no problem. Go for it. Guys, there's a lot of karaoke going on, so I've been muting myself a lot. I appreciate you guys for being here. Niall, welcome in. Everyone, thanks for, keeping up with us.
Alright, so. Oh, I can't hear you. They can't hear you, sorry.
Wait, can you hear me though?
I can hear you, but they can't.
Huh. Um, let me fix this, I guess.
No, you're fine.
Can you guys hear me now? Hello?
Verizon sponsorship.
Hello? 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 Testing. By the way, Peach, can you hear the music?
No, I can't hear your background anymore.
Still quiet for you, at least? What the heck?
That's not good.
Uh,
Francis says better.
oh, it's better? Better. Test 1, 2, 3.
Maybe a little bit louder.
Hello? Hello? Okay,
Oh,
okay,
that's
okay.
better now. Okay, awesome.
I muted, and I made myself lower because there's a lot of karaoke in the background, so it's crazy.
Key is
Alright, go ahead, you could
drowned
take
out now
over.
though. Oh, another goal and aspiration
Yeah.
that I have. Valorant. Valorant. I used to never be into gaming whatsoever. I actually didn't care for games. I did grow up with like a PS3 and a Wii, playing with family and stuff. But I never cared for gaming. I just got into gaming about 2 years ago. I started playing Apex and started playing Apex and after that got a PC. My friend's like, oh shit, or sorry, got a laptop. Started playing on the laptop because my friend's like, oh, play with us since like we can't hang out as much, blah blah blah. And I see that you're into playing games now. And so when I started gaming, it would be on Discord. Oh, good night, Niall. Here's a boop for you.
Bye, Niall. Good night.
But yeah, so started playing Apex, and then she's like, "Join me on Valorant. Let's play." We would stream on Discord, all four or many of us, and they would watch me play, and I would legit sit there and move my body while the character's moving, and it's fucking hilarious. I would like legit move like. Sometimes you'll see me do it in my streams because I can't help it. But I would like move or like dodge or like flinch, freak out. You've probably seen me freak out before, or like get the shit scared out of me. And they're like, Peach, this shit's funny. You need to stream it. This is fucking quality content right now. So I got into streaming a year ago, but I just played Valorant just to play. I'd never really cared to get better in it or anything. Not until like recently where I just started watching more plays and watching more people play and all these things. I'm like, oh fuck, I want to do it too. I want to get better at this, you know? And so when I came back from my trip and found you guys, I was already like on that roll of like, I'm trying to get better at this game. I'm so tired of like being trash or bottom frag, zero kills every game. Like it's not fun anymore to me. And I also get into this role of like competitive with myself. So that's definitely a big goal, and especially for the fact that I hit affiliate not long ago. I want to stream more, produce better content, and also show my progress of doing better. But yeah, um, to the import lifestyle. Oh man, a lot of wild memories. Simply because I was a part of a group. Um, I used to be a go-go dancer also, and worked at a nightclub. I feel like I have more stories for the nightclub than I do actually from modeling.
That's fine.
Um, but a lot of my friends, they were go-go dancers and modeling, doing import modeling. I was very against modeling too. Simply because I don't like it when I see women dragging other women down or women looking at photos and being like, I want to look like her. Like, I feel very bad about how I look, and all this stuff. But import modeling caught my eye 100%. The reason being is because all shapes and sizes. All shapes and sizes. That's all I gotta say. And it's a very competitive field, though. I do gotta say that. There is still toxicity just like any other, any other thing. But my big thing was import modeling, though. I get to meet a lot of people. I was pretty extroverted during that time. I met so many people, made so many great friends. Did a bunch of car shows. Car shows, it was very, very interesting for how it worked for me. We would go to a show and then we would go around and check out, like cars. And then they'll be like, hey, can we have you guys shoot with these cars? Hey, can you guys do these sets? Hey, blah, 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 So that was fun. But my go-go lifestyle, I got so many wild stories for it. My last day go-going before moving was probably the most wild time ever. But I go-goed at a nightclub called Trinity in Washington. My first day auditioning to be a go-go dancer. Hopefully my dad doesn't find out about this. It's funny. I ran into my uncle. So one of my dad's closest friends. I was like at the club, like provocatively dressed, walking around. It was hot in the club, so I ran outside, and as I'm like walking out towards the doors to go to outside, I look at this dude. I'm like, he looks familiar, and I'm like, fuck! I just had a moment, and I went, fuck! And he looks at me. He goes, I'm like, hi, Uncle Richard. He looks at me. He goes, what are you doing here? I was like, oh, I'm a go-go dancer. Hi. What are you doing here? My uncle was probably like in his 40s by then, right? I'm like, what are you doing here at 18 and up club? He goes, my friends just dragged me out. I was like, okay, don't tell my dad. Have a good time. Bye. And I just fucking booked it out. Just like booked it out of the building. And I was like, what are the fucking chances of that happening? What are the fucking chances? And so, yeah, that was the intro to starting go-go life. Should have foresee how go-go life would have looked with just that happening. But I didn't. I went on set and it was just really weird. It was like an event happening that day that we didn't get the memo for. And so trying to go-go dance to music that you have no idea how to is weird. And then also a Vietnamese concert happened that day too, which was weird as hell. because I guess the venue that they were supposed to go to closed down or something that same day. And so they had to pick a new venue and like send everybody over and all that stuff. And so it was weird. It was really weird. And then man, so many wild things happened at the club. My highlight of that working at a nightclub was I'm small. I'm only 5'2", 5'3", around there. It's an 18 and up club. People are very handsy. Very handsy. And I was like coming back in for my second set on stage. And I felt not just a grab, but a scoop and grab on my backside. And I figured out exactly who it was, or not exactly who it was, but I figured out like who it could have possibly been. There's two guys, they were laughing their asses over it. They're probably like 6 feet. 6 feet, 6'4". I'm very feisty, especially if I'm working at a nightclub like that. So I reach up, grab them both by their collars, twist it, and yank them down to my level. I was like, I don't know who the fuck you feel like you are, but you're not touching me again. Don't do that shit. And they're like, oh, you ain't gonna do shit. Da 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 da. I was like, you're so lucky right now that I am on shift and I have a set coming. But oh, you best believe I would do something. And the bouncer, we're all friends, or like not friends, but like work friends and stuff. Bouncer sees me, like I'm a very quirky person. And so like hang out, like seeing me, seeing how I work and seeing how I am, they would have never expected that from me. So like I got these two dudes by their collars. One comes up to me, he goes, "What's going on?" And I was like, I'm dragging them both to like the rest of the bouncers. I was like, I don't know which one of these fuckers did it, but one of them grabbed me and thought it was okay to grab me. So you guys better get them before I do in this moment, holding them both by their collars. So, and the bouncer's like, no, chill, 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 chill. I got you. I got you. And so they like talked to both of them and kicked them both out because they're like, we can't figure out which one it is. But she doesn't do that. She does not do anything like that. And yeah. And they got kicked out. And later on, the guys stopped me and they're like, how are you? What the hell? What? Like, they're so confused. I'm like, only 5'2", 5'3", super small. Like, who would have thought I'd do something like that? Especially for my personality at work. Like, I'm just super quirky, super chill, like, vibing with everybody, you know? I'm like, what the hell? What's going on? Like, what was that about? And where did that come from? You know? And then, another time, I have a work husband there, or had a work husband there. So the deal is, when guys come up to me and I need to be saved from them, he comes over, throws his arm over my shoulder and goes, "What's up?" Right? I'm very petty. So girls come up to him, try to talk to him, and I'm just like, and he looks at me, he goes like, are you gonna come help me? Like, what are you doing? Why are you, letting me hang over here? I'll just like wait a couple minutes and he'll like slowly shift this way. I'm like, ah shit, alright, fine. And I'll like walk over and be like, hey, like to the girls. Oh man, but guys will come up to you, they will ask you wild things. Like I've had people ask me on the spot for feet pics, on the spot for my number. Oh, what are you doing tonight? Let me take you home. Weird shit on top of it. The best one I've gotten was on my very last day I was there. I was both going and doing bottle service. Military dude comes up to me. We were like running one of his tables, and he looks at me. He goes, "Let me marry you. Let's go get married. We can go get married tomorrow. We can just go to the courthouse and get married. Come on." Da 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 da. I was like, ah, oh, that's sweet. I have to get to my next table. Thanks, though. Walks away, and then like we have to stop back at the table, you know, just to get them buy more drinks and stuff. And continuously throughout the night, he'll find me. He'll find me random places in the club and be like, "You've never answered my question. Why won't you let me marry you?" Da 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 da. I'm like, ah, it's sweet. I'm working right now. I can't have this conversation, but thank you. And then eventually I had a set on stage. And I'm dancing, and I see him in my peripheral. And so I was wearing a garter belt, and so there's straps down my thigh. Instead of being a civil human and tapping me, right? He grabs the garter and yanks me down to his level. And I'm like, what the fuck is happening right now? I'm about to get kidnapped. Everybody's about to see me get kidnapped. Like, what is happening? Help! And the bouncer sees it. He pulls me down his level aggressively, like, let's get married tomorrow. Da 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 da. Why are you not answering my question? Da 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 da. And I'm like, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Like, I can't. I'm working. You see me on stage. I gotta get through my set. Da 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 da. Bouncer comes over. He's like, what's going on? I was like, help me. I swear to God, I'm gonna get kidnapped by him. I don't know what's going on. Help me. Dude becomes aggressive to the bouncer. He's like, nah, this is my girl. Da 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 da. Bouncers know me. I'm the smallest, cutesy, younger one. You know, like I'm baby. That's who I am. And they look at me and they look at him, scuff him off, and I scuff at him and like escort him out the door. And I'm like, bro, what the fuck? No one's gonna believe this shit happened. You know. But yeah, I definitely watched a lot of that shit happening, or like people getting too drunk. I remember one time I was bottle servicing for one of the tables, and they got really rowdy. It was somebody's a birthday party, and they got super duper drunk. And so when someone like passes out, you get kicked out. Like if you fall asleep or anything, you automatically get kicked out. And they're like, hey, like we gotta get this dude out. Like it's not okay. We, you know, like whatever. Dude was so drunk, his 4 friends couldn't even sit him up and carry him at all. So my buddy, my work husband, picks him up, literally scoops him off with one arm, tucks him over the shoulder, and carrying him out the club, just like this. I'm like watching this happen. I swore that dude was drunk enough because he was bouncing on his shoulder. And I was like, dude, you're gonna get yacked on. Like, you are gonna get yacked on. I feel so bad for you. Whatnot. Comes in, his shirt's completely clean. I was like, how the hell did you not get yacked on? He goes, no, it almost happened. By the time we got outside, I set him down. He ended up yakking. I was like, oh my god, you got hell lucky. But yeah, yep. That's basically the overview of being a bottle service and go-go dancer, for sure.
What like made you interested in getting into that, and how'd you get out of it?
Go-go dancing nightclub or import?
Just
Or
both.
both? Import? I got into it because I loved cars and seeing these models doing their thing and you know socializing with people and connecting with people, awesome photos and body positivity towards others definitely got me into import modeling. I got out of it because it was really draining though, because you have to consistently keep up with people, keep up with your social media, keep up with photo shoots and all these things, you know. And it was draining, it was tiring, it was a lot of work to do. And car shows too. I also came to realize that as much as I enjoyed doing import modeling, I enjoyed being around the cars more than I did enjoy modeling. So that was where I was like, you know what? I think I'm gonna take a break, stop modeling for a while, and just enjoy my time, enjoy the car shows, being there, whatever. But occasionally, I get pulled. I get pulled into modeling. I'll go to a car show, hang out, and old photographers I used to work with would go, "Hey, Peaches, are you doing anything?" I'm like, "No, I'm just hanging out." All right, let's go shoot. I'm like, I guess, I guess. And so we would go end up going to do shoots and all that stuff. I don't think it's ever gonna stop though for import modeling. It's a fun thing to do. But for go-go dancing, I got out of it because of my move. I definitely do miss it because it was something fun, something I could be myself in, you know, naturally express myself because I enjoy dancing a lot. And I want to go back to it, but I realize it's not the lifestyle for me. It definitely, you need a lot of energy. Um, and I don't know, I'm not comfortable being like in giant crowds like that anymore. So, yeah.
Nice, good touch up on those topics. I guess we could just finish off with those, like with one last question. I guess. What advice
Yeah.
would you give to people who are considering getting into those activities?
Having very thick skin. Having very thick skin. I kid you not. People are ruthless. They don't care. Um, they will belittle you, but I mean, it's pretty much with everything. But with these activities, especially if you're a female, oh my god, especially if you're a female, they will drag you down. It's such a taboo topic. It still is. To this very day, it's still a very taboo topic. So I'd say having very thick skin and not letting people get to you easily. But yeah.
Nice. All right. Let's I guess give a overview again of your work life. Did you miss out on any other job or what? Or did you talk about all of them?
Worked at a gas station. My dad owned that. And eventually I was like, I'm kind of tired working here. So I got into working at a clothing store in downtown Seattle.
Oh yeah, you could give timelines too.
Yeah. So I worked at my dad's gas station since I was a kid. And I didn't get paid until I was 15. And then 15 onwards, I was working at my dad's gas station. And I was like, hey dad, like I want to experience real life, like jobs outside of working here, because you know it's family-owned business, whatnot. And I got into working at a clothing store around 16. And that was very scary because it was in downtown Seattle. I was 16, closing a store at 8 p.m., taking the train or the light rail back home. I'd get stalked all the way home. People would follow me all the way back home. Um, and so I ended up quitting that because it was just a very like scary environment. We would have crackheads come in and steal stuff, chasing crackheads out the door because that's what my manager expected from 16-year-olds. And then I went back to work for my dad for a while. After working for my dad for a while, I ended up working as a receptionist. This is around like 17, 18 at a hair salon for kids. It was so much fun, but it was a lot of work. You had to do like consistent cleaning and booking and closing. It's really hard because you have to like catch up on everything and refresh and everything too. So I also had very severe anxiety, so it overwhelms me during that time. So I quit there, continued working for my dad, and then started working at Starbucks because I wanted to make extra money. This is when I was like 20, 20. Oh, I wish I got to this part. It was actually really fun. Moved here, COVID happened, couldn't work, got out of COVID or quarantine, right? And started, everything started picking back up. I worked at an adult shop. I worked at an adult shop. It was very fun, very interesting. Um, Same concept. You have to have thick skin. People will approach you and ask you unsolicited things about you. Um, Worked at an adult shop. Wasn't getting paid enough. Eventually, I got to an administrative position at an autism school. And that's where I found out about RBTs as a career. So I worked there for almost half a year. 4 months to half a year, I think. And then I recently got my career as an RBT. I work as an autism teacher and I teach kids and take data and all this stuff and see them grow. It's a very fun, high demand job. But yeah,
So how long has it been since your current job?
I'd say I started in May.
Mm-hmm.
May, I think. Yeah, May.
Oh, and it's a full-time job?
It is a full-time job,
Got
but
it.
it is wild hours. It also it's a hit or miss too, because when the client cancels that day, you don't get paid. And all that stuff. But yeah, it's very, very fun in my opinion. I never leave work stressed out. I never leave work upset about anything. Um, but it is definitely hard to be scheduled with more people too. If that makes sense. Because their schedule doesn't match up with your schedule and all this stuff. So yeah.
And going back to the adult shop, what do you mean? Like, what is it exactly?
Like, what type of job is it, or what is it? Is it?
Yeah, both.
It's a retail store for sex toys.
Okay, that's what I was thinking.
Yep. Yep.
Mhm.
It's actually very interesting because you learn about health related stuff too, versus like just the tabooness of it and all that stuff. Um, But yeah, you get a lot of interesting characters sometimes. Um, and it's usually not the customers that's the interesting characters. It's just like random people who come in and like it's in a bad area, let's say. In an area where like all the homeless people are, or like the chronics is what they're called in Hawaii. And so I've had an incident where a dude comes in. I'm pretty sure he was schizophrenic. He came in and he was like browsing around the shop, went to the front door, pissed at the front door, and tracked it throughout the whole entire shop. Yes.
Insane.
Yep. And so, but yeah, like he pissed at the front door and tracked it around the whole entire shop. And I was like grabbing a wet mop and like scrubbing the store. And my coworker was like, "What's that?" Like, why do you need that? Just use a dry one. I was like, dude, it's piss. And he was like, no way. No, it's not. I was like, I promise you. And how did you not smell it? Dude had like kidney failures type of urine smell. Like it smells horrendous. Like something died. And I'm just like, how do you not? How do you not? How? How? Oh my god! And I'm over here like disgusted as I'm mopping the floor. And I wore really long pants that day, so it was dragging on the floor too. And I'm like, I am burning these! I am burning these! Oh my god, it was so bad. It was so bad. Like, it's just weird crap. Like, you wouldn't even think like it's like, because it's a sex shop, you'd think it's like weird related to that stuff, right? No, it's like on the complete opposite end of it. Another incident was like a dude comes in, he's drunk, and he pulls up to the store drunk, and I'm sitting on this like stool. I can see the crack at the bottom of the door, and you can see the shadows. You legit hear this dude open the door, eat shit out of his car, and I'm like, what the fuck? And he slams the door, swings our door open, walks in. I don't know if I could talk about that topic on here. Can I?
You're fine. You're fine.
Yeah? Okay, he swings the door open, he comes in, he goes, I'm looking for a butt plug for my girl. Screams it, and we're all like, what? What? And then he goes, and says that, and me and my other coworker looked at each other. I'm just crying right now. And my best friend who lives with us now, she was a manager on duty, but she has like all the knowledge of that stuff. Each of us has like really clustered knowledge of certain things. Like we have knowledge for everything, but like certain of us prevail in certain topics versus other ones, right? And she comes out and she goes, "What's going on? What do you need?" And we both went and pointed at her. We're like, her, she can help you. And she looks at us and goes, and I'm like, yeah, she knows a lot about the butt stuff. And he comes up to her and he goes, yeah, so my girl likes things put in her butt. Da 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 da. Like last week I shoved a banana in there, and we're like, what is happening? What is happening? And I'm laughing so hard at this point. I had to sit, so the counters, there's a case and it's square. And I had to sit and stare at my coworker crying, just straight crying, bawling my eyes out. And we hear this conversation going on. And this dude's like belligerently drunk. And oh my god. We hear this and he calls up his girlfriend. Hey babe, I'm at the sex shop. I'm gonna go get something for your butt. And I was like crying. I couldn't even handle it. And the girlfriend's like, what the fuck is wrong with you? Don't call me back. Hangs up on him. And he looks at her, Allie, my friend, and goes, man, I just wanted to get something nice for her. Da 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 da. And she goes, I mean, I get it. It's totally understandable, blah, blah, blah. And she's being very sensitive towards him. And she says something. He looks at her and he goes, I wish you were my girlfriend. He goes, I wish you were my girlfriend. Be my girlfriend. Like, me and my girl is not that serious. No. And mind you, she's my best friend. So at this point, me and my friend, or my coworker, is rolling on the fucking ground now about it. We were just dying and rolling on the fucking ground about it. And he goes, I guess they pick something, they come up to the counter, she checks him out. And he like went back to go look at something, but before he went back, he's like leaning against the counter and he goes, I think I'm gonna throw up. And me, my coworker both went, nope, nope. I grabbed the trash can, I slammed on the counter, and I was like, I was like staring at Allie. Allie's like, what the fuck are you doing? And she goes, oh, fuck you guys. And we're like laughing so hard. He goes, just kidding. Just like pops up on the table, just kidding. I don't need to. And then goes back, to bothering her and asking her to be his girlfriend and all this shit. And buying another item. And then eventually it finished checking out again, and they come around the counter, and I'm sitting back on the stool. My friend is like across the fucking store because she's laughing so fucking hard. And oh man, and he comes up to me, and I have an eyebrow slit, right? He goes up to me. I'm in Hawaii, so he comes up to me. He goes, "Hey, I like your eyebrows, sister." And I was like, "Thank you, appreciate it." And on the counter next to me, because I was sick during that time too, I had sanitizer, and I kept getting cash transactions. So I was like, "Fuck this!" Like, sanitizer. I'm not trying to catch COVID. All that stuff. And he's like, "Oh, is that sanitizer? Can I have some?" I was like, "Yeah, sure." Hand it over to him. He takes a palm. And he brings it up to his mouth. He goes, "I'm gonna eat it." Takes his mask down. And I'm like, I don't. Before I could say anything, he's like already here. And I'm like staring at my friend Allie, and she goes, "Oh no, you can't have your mask down inside the store." He goes, "I'm just kidding. I'm not gonna eat it." Like, washes his hands with sanitizer, and then he starts backing up out of the store. And in front of the doors, there's like this podium thing that holds the sanitizer. And we're like, "Hey, you might wanna..." And before we could finish the sentence, he walks right into the podium and like starts tipping it over. The shit almost fell. And we're like, "Oh my god." So he catches it, he goes, it's good. And leaves. And we're like, "Wait, should we call the cops? Like, this man is drunk. He shouldn't be driving at all." And Allie goes, "I mean, he just said he lived 5 minutes away. It's not our business. It's also time closing." I was like, "Okay, sounds good." And we hear skirt, and all three of us is like running to the door, swinging the door open. We look, and the car is gone, completely gone. I'm like, what a fucking night. What a fucking night. Oh man, those many one of the many wild stories that I've had there.
That's amazing.
Yeah,
Do
definitely
you
enjoyed
have any
that.
more stories before we, I guess, move on? Could be any stories of the past.
I have so many. You just gotta give me a topic. I used to travel to Vietnam a lot every summer when I was a kid.
Oh yeah. Next topics actually, we could talk
Yeah,
about traveling and adventure, like
yeah,
past and
definitely.
what you plan to do.
So, my traveling and adventures. My past travels was a lot of Vietnam. My dad and my grandma was big on, keeping the culture alive within the family, learning more about your culture, and also being in like a third world country. It teaches you a lot. It teaches you to be more appreciative of things. Um, yeah, so definitely enjoyed that. In Vietnam, I've seen it progress over the years because I used to go so much and I have family over there. Um, but one year I went back there and I finally decided to travel out of the area that my family lives in. Let me tell you, the bus drivers over there are wild. Are wild. This bus is going at least like 50 up the side of the mountain next to a cliff. And the railings probably like, the tiny little short railings. And I'm over there like, we're gonna fucking die! Flying it up the mountain. I'm like, how the fuck is, how? How? How are we still alive? Um, I've traveled to New York. I traveled there one time for cheer and another time for leisure. And it was a lot of fun. My first trip there, I was very jet lagged, so I slept literally everywhere. Like everywhere. I slept on the train, I slept in the restaurant, I slept at the park. Anywhere we went and we had like downtime, I slept. Um the second time I went, I had a lot of fun. I went to go eat a lot of places. It was actually really good. If you guys ever have a chance to go to Bow House out there, oh my gosh, their pork belly bao is so good. Another place I went to was Cali. I went to Cali a couple of times. I spent a lot of time in Vancouver, Canada. I did. What's this place? I forgot where it was called, but it was like a horseshoe area where we went and floored our cars through. It was really nice. Um, I went to Colorado. Colorado's fun. Went to Denver in the Springs area. Pikes Peak, I believe it's called, where you gotta go all the way up the mountain. Definitely was not a good idea for me. I'm terrified of heights. Terrified, scared shitless. And we went up there and they have to do brake checks as you're coming down the mountain. Cause it's so steep that your brakes overheat and you have to sit there and wait until it reaches the temperature that it's supposed to be at. So that's fun. And then I've been to a couple other places. Oh, Oregon. I used to spend a lot of time driving down to Oregon too. Cannon Beach is my favorite part of Oregon. Definitely suggest checking that place out for sure. But yeah, and Hawaii, obviously Hawaii, Maui, Oahu. Um, yeah, yeah.
Pretty cool.
I plan to travel all throughout Vietnam. That way I can, get to know the whole entire country. I definitely really want to travel to Thailand and Santorini, Greece, and Venice. Those are like my top must travels. And then one day in the future, I want to travel throughout or backpack throughout Europe and go to like all the museums and stuff. I love history stuff. So that's the reason why I want to go there. But yeah.
That's dope.
Yeah.
Cool. How about we transition back kind of like towards streaming, but more in depth?
Yes.
So, when did you know about Twitch, and like, what's your experience like now?
When did I like discover Twitch?
Yeah, and how long did it take for you to actually get into it? You briefly mentioned how people convinced you, but yeah, go again.
Learned about Twitch through Mommy Senpai and a bunch of other friends too. Um, yeah, but I learned about it, but I just never cared enough about it, if that makes sense. Because I wasn't a big gamer. I didn't like games. I didn't really care for it, so it didn't really apply to me. Um, and when I started gaming with friends, like on Valorant, um, like I said, I did a lot of stupid stuff. Like physically, when you watch me play, I do a lot of stupid shit while playing. And I don't realize it until like someone goes, "Oh shit, like that's fucking content right there." Like I wish I had that on video. And then all my friends are like, "You know what? Try it out. Do it. It'd be fucking funny. Like people would enjoy it, you know." Um you get to also learn about your gameplays and see you progress and all these other things, you know. And so I started streaming a year ago, over a year ago. But I just never took it seriously. I just streamed just to stream, you know? So that way, like, I get content, people like content. Tran used to sit there and go, "Peaches, stream. This shit's funny. What you're doing right now is funny." And so Tran definitely got me to stream a lot more than I wanted. Like, I started off doing. Does that make sense? So every time I get in the game with Tran's like, "Dude, you gotta stream. What you're doing right now is fucking hilarious." Da 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 da.
Oh, it was
He's like,
Tran. How we
"Yeah,
That's how we met, basically, right?
yep, yep."
Okay, how'd you meet him too? You could incorporate that story.
I I met him through Johnson. I don't know if you know Johnson, Hyper Thing. Um, but he is cousins with Tran. And so when he opened his Discord and he found out I played Valorant, I met Johnson in person because Johnson is into cars and he's a part of the group of friends that I have up there. And so Johnson's like, "Oh shit, like you play Valorant, let's do this, let's hang out, let's play games together, whatever." And then he was like, "Well, join us and join our Discord. Our Discord's majority Vietnamese people, blah, blah, blah." And so, yeah, that's how I met Tran. And we started playing with Johnson all the time and then went from Johnson to just Tran. But yeah.
Dope. You could continue with your Twitch like experience.
Oh, man. Twitch like experience. It was hard. It was very hard. Like learning how to network with people, meeting new people, getting people to view or watch your content, consistently streaming or having like a stream schedule and all that. It was hard simply because of my work schedule and the way it used to look. It used to be scattered. Random days I'll be able to hop on. Other days I can't at all. Weeks at a time I wouldn't even be able to touch my computer. It was rough. It was rough. But eventually, like recently especially, I enjoyed doing it. Simply that way I can just have clips of what I do and what I can better myself in. And now I'm just like kind of like enjoy streaming a little bit more because I'm able to spend time with friends that aren't playing and they just want to stop in and watch and all that stuff. And also like what question did you ask? Oh, the question is how did I learn about Twitch and streaming's going? Does that make sense? Sorry, I just fucked the whole question up. But yeah, but now it's a lot easier. Now it's a lot easier. I have a more of a set schedule at work. And yeah,
Do you have
definitely
any
having
goals for Twitch?
right now I am at 156, I believe. Let me double check. 159. Oh wow. Wow. 159, a lot more than I thought I had. But I'm at 159 followers right now. The goal is to get to 200. And yeah, like the goal is definitely to get to 200 and maybe even like more viewers and more content of like my gameplays and all that for people to enjoy. I don't know if you saw that video I sent to your Discord yesterday.
Not yet.
Not yet. It was a TikTok of me, but also me. Like,
Oh no, I did see that. Yeah, yeah.
yep.
I
Like
saw it.
it's hilarious. I'm such a wild card. Like one day I'll do awesome, nail a no scope. The next day I'm like throwing a fucking leer at a bot. Shit's funny. Honestly, I want to bring more like to enjoying your time versus like making it such a serious thing too. So that's definitely my goal with Twitch, and my other goal is like mental health awareness. We all have our good days, we all have our bad days, and we also get bullied a lot, and especially for females in video games. It's definitely a big one where people gotta understand that it's not that serious. You know, we're just doing it just to have fun, enjoy it. But yeah,
So other than Twitch, are you big into social media right now?
I
Currently?
am big into Instagram. I have always been, but I enjoy Instagram a lot. I used to do a lot with Instagram simply because modeling and all that requires Instagram. I'm starting to get into TikTok. I just enjoy watching TikToks more than I do creating content. But I am like gonna start creating more content of this is me, but this is also me. Like it's hilarious. It's hilarious to see, especially side by side. You're just like, oh, But yeah,
How's editing for TikTok?
skill set. I am shocked on what people are able to do on TikTok. I really am. I'm not a very tech savvy person at all. I like even with my stream itself, right? I can do the bare minimum. I have no like designs for it or anything. I'm like, it works? Great. It works? Great. That's it. No more effort. But now I'm starting to dig into it and taking a look at it and trying to make it better, do better in it. Same thing for TikTok. I definitely want to learn to do better at editing and all that stuff. Like I have a few friends who does it, more often than I do. And I tend to ask them, like, hey, like, can you help me out? I'm not that bright in this realm, you know? But yeah.
For sure, no worries. Alright, aside from that, just a few more things before getting into random questions.
Yeah.
What's your. How would you express your social life and I guess party life now?
Oh, social life, I'm very introverted now at the moment. Unless it's like online and gaming and all that stuff. I'd say I'm very introverted. I don't like leaving my house that much. I'd go to work and come home. Um, yeah, it's very introverted. Party life, it's a hit or miss. It's really a hit or miss. Um, like my cousin's wedding recently. Oh, we partied it up for her wedding. And like one of my friends recently, she threw a house party. We definitely partied it up there too. But I'm not a big drinker anymore. I have a stomach tear. Yeah, yep. That's literally the social norm now. Just being introverted. But yeah. Yeah, so I have a stomach tear now. I'm unable to drink. So it kind of just died off. It's definitely not a day-to-day lifestyle or like week-to-week lifestyle. Like I can't. Mm, every hour I spend out of my house is every 72 hours I need to fucking recuperate, recharge my social battery.
Um, yeah, no worries. Like, it, your mood changes when it comes to like being social and parties, and depends on the circumstances.
Oh yeah.
All right, before the random questions, do you want to talk a bit about? I don't know if I'm saying this right. Spitch and stones.
You found it.
Yeah, I did my research.
So Spitch and Stones was something I started up. I'm still working on it. I haven't been able to keep up with it simply because life got really busy. But Spitch and Stones is my small little Etsy shop. I definitely need to update it a little bit. It died down simply because I wasn't getting enough attention to it or sales to it. But what it is it's crystals and customized jewelry. Well, not customized, but like handmade jewelry, earrings, necklace, bracelets. I started that because I got super. I'm a very witchy person. Your typical goth chick. um, and I got into it, and honestly, it helped me a lot. And they have their metaphysical healing properties, and surprisingly, they work. You just have to have like a lot of. Can I show you a piece that I've made? Yeah, definitely. I do gotta run downstairs and grab it to show you though. But give me 1 second. Let me just finish this up, and towards the end, I'll go grab it and show you guys.
Yeah, that's fine.
But yeah. So they have awesome metaphysical properties that works really well. It helped me through my rough times. It definitely was something for me to do when I didn't have a PC, and I enjoyed it a lot because each piece I make, I always think them through, and then I also research their metaphysical properties before I even touch them or make anything out of them. But yeah, that's Spitch and Stones. The name Spitch came along. Yes. The name Spitch came along because of us. We were driving, and Hawaii drivers aren't that great, by the way. Hawaii drivers aren't that great. And so we get cut off as we're making a turn. And instead of saying you bitch, I had a really bad lisp. I have a tongue ring in also, and it didn't help. So I fucking yelled, "You bitch!" And my buddy was like, "No fucking way. You just did not do that." And then, yeah, that happened. And it became an inside joke for us. And then I got a cat. And we're like, "Dude, what should we name the cat?" And my buddy's like, "Oh, let's name it Spitch." I was like, "Okay, the name is Spitch then." I'll bring her too so you guys can see. She's a completely blind cat. She is missing an eye. Peaches is blue. Yes, I am blue. And she's missing an eye and she's fully blind in the other. And she's the cutest, sweetest thing you'll ever meet. But yeah. So Spitch and Stones. Spitch usually likes to hang out with me every time I'm like working on something, making a new piece, and she'll just chill by me and she'll like lay under my desk as I'm like working on a new piece. So I was like, oh, like my little companion. So I'm gonna name it after her. But yeah. Yes, protect kitty. Give me like 10 seconds. Let
Yeah,
me
go
run
for it.
down and grab some of my pieces and grab Spitch for you.
Yes, yes. Welcome in, everyone that's here. Chick, Andy, Ralphie. What's up, guys? Thank you, Andy, for the hydrate. There's still a lot of karaoke in the background right now, so I've been muted most of the time whenever Peaches is talking. Other than that, if you guys don't know what's happening right now, Peach is getting her cat and getting her stones because she has her own business called Spitch and Stones on Etsy. Who's singing? It's I think my parents and sister's friends. Is it low? Is it low? Is it low? Hello? Hello? Sorry. My bad. Is it better? Okay. Thanks. I didn't want it to be super loud because of the karaoke, but I got you. Once again, guys, podcast, the command, so you guys can understand what I'm doing here. This is episode 5 featuring Peaches Sky. And then this is our lovely guest of the evening. Drop her a follow. Have you removed music from your podcast? Do you mean in the other podcasts or what? I have removed like music that would get my videos blocked, but other than that, I have non-copyright music. Oh, for this one, this is all non-copyright music. All right, you're back. Go ahead.
Here's Pitchy. She's the sweetest. So that drawing as my logo is actually her. I hand drew her. But yeah. She's completely blind in one eye, as you can see, and then the other eye is missing. Hi, mamas.
Wow.
Yep. She's also very chill. She'll just hang out with me all the time. But yeah.
And then the stones, go for it. You got it.
Alright. Here's one of the items I've made. Let me change the light if I can.
Does that look like a mushroom?
Yes, it is. Can you turn white? Thank you. I was trying to change it. Oh, it's so yellowy. Let's see.
Wait, so do you craft it on your own?
The stones itself, I buy them.
Uh-huh.
And I usually buy them in bulk.
Oh, I see.
And I craft it and it has a little spiral at the top. Super cute. Any amethyst piece? Yes, I do. what does that symbolize? It's a rose quartz, so it symbolizes self-healing, um, like self-love and all that stuff. People, oh my god, I see this a lot on TikTok, where people are like, "Oh, it's the love stone." Da 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 da. It's funny. It's so funny. Give me like 10 seconds. So, this is moss agate. It's a necklace. It's a half crescent moon. Super cute and clear. Nice ribbing through it. The healing properties to it is an anti-inflammatory stone, lowers fever, helps with like colds and sicknesses, like circulation with your body and all that. Let's see. These were clear quartz and little potion bottles. What's the focus?
That's so cool.
Yeah. And
You also have questions on the side too.
yeah, let me double check real quick. That's the much. Is it just a mental thing to remind you what it means? Do stones work? It is definitely a belief system. So I would say it is a mental thing, but also not like a mental thing because they do have their healing properties, but it just works based on your ability to accept it, if that makes sense. Yeah. Yep. And thank you. My nails are really, really broken right now. Yeah, my nails are so broken right now. And then I did, what's it called? Resin with stones. And this is a green kuzanite. I actually don't remember the healing properties for it, but it is a love stone, I believe. But yeah. And it's made in a way where you can actually sit there and you can touch it. It's kind of raised at the top. But yeah. Yep, so those are some of my work.
Do you ship globally?
Globally, I can make it happen. I definitely can make it happen.
There you go, guys.
On Etsy, I definitely, or you could just message me on Instagram. If you're globally, then just message me on Instagram. I will definitely just tell me which piece you like that you see on Etsy and let me know, and I'll just ship it globally for you, and you just like PayPal me. Because Etsy upcharges the shipping. I've learned
Good
that.
to know.
Yep.
Nice. All right. If anyone has any questions at any given moment, feel free to ask. But other than that, we're gonna just jump right into our quick hitters, the random questions to close this out. First thing, wait, are you full Viet?
I am not full Vietnamese. I am a quarter white. And I am, hold on, let me change this light real quick. I'm a quarter white and the rest is Vietnamese, but I grew up in a Vietnamese culture. I represent it hardcore. Like I've even gotten it tattooed on me. I enjoy being a Vietnamese woman for sure. And I like promoting it a lot.
Yeah.
I do not, I know.
What do you get confused as?
I usually get Filipino the most out of all of it. Filipino.
I'd
Um,
agree with that.
or like I've also gotten people um ask me if I am Hispanic in any way. Um, but yeah, I've definitely got Filipino the most out of all of them. Can I make panseo? Yes, I can. I just choose not to. Yeah.
All right, cool. First question of the random questions.
Yes.
These are generally questions I ask everyone so
Yeah,
far.
no worries.
Well, actually, yeah, we'll get to it. What are your name one pet peeve you have?
It's gonna sound so stupid. So on the American muscle cars, usually the Chargers or the Challengers or the just those newer American muscle cars, Mustangs too. I've seen it on Mustangs. Usually there's a piece of plastic that's yellow and it covers the lip, the front end of it, and there's just two pieces and they're yellow and they're meant to be taken off before you leave the lot, the dealership, and people don't take it off. And I see it so often here in Hawaii that I'm like, take the splitter guards off. Like you'll see me sit in the car going like shaking over it. I'm like, take the damn splitter guards off. But yeah, that is probably my biggest pet peeve currently. That has happened more often than not.
I did not expect that.
Yeah, I know, right? Everybody has like a common pet peeve, like smacking on food. That actually bugs me too. And someone's like smacking hardcore on their food. But
Yeah.
the one that's been getting to me the most is the yellow splitter guards on the damn cars. Just keep the damn thing off. It's not pretty. It's not saving you anything. Rocks are lodging underneath it. But yeah.
Okay, next question. What would you say is your biggest accomplishment and failure?
Both accomplishment and failure?
Yeah, biggest.
Um, biggest accomplishment. I'd say actually becoming an RBT. That was probably my biggest accomplishment ever. I never thought I'd have a career by now. I never thought about it. I never thought it'd even be a career in child services at all. So definitely my biggest accomplishment. Like this is a long-term job, a career, lifestyle that I could stick through. Um, my biggest fail. Clear. I honestly don't see things as failure. I see things as lessons in life. Versus like, oh, it's a failure. I failed super bad at it. Um, I definitely see them as life lessons versus like failure. So I don't think I can name anything for that one.
That's fair. No worries.
Mhm.
All right, next question. What was your first impression of me?
You're a really cool, awesome, laid back dude. And the fact that you're very, very vocal and very caring towards everybody, like not just like few people you know, but literally everyone. You're just so open and you also meet people in the middle and it's very rare to run into people like you. Um you're definitely yep, Bandy, epic. I agree. You're epic.
Thank you, I appreciate that. Thank you,
Of
Vandy, as well.
course.
All right. Top 5 streamers that you watch. No particular order. Just who do you watch the most?
Fran,
Mm-hmm.
Rachel, one of my homegirls. You.
Me? What?
Yeah, I definitely like run your streams a lot.
Honored. Thank you.
Coco. Yeah. Coco and um that's 4, right?
Yeah.
Let me double check. Since I'm already on here. Let's double check. 'Cause I can't really think of them right now. Stacy also. I lurk on Stacy's stuff too. I'm definitely learning to have more time to watch people stream because I used to not even touch stream stuff
Yeah.
at all.
It's cool.
But it's kind of. Oh, I'm echoing. I'm sorry. It's kind of hard though. It's kind of hard because every time I'm on, people aren't on. But yeah.
Andy has a question.
Give me like 5 seconds. Try to get back to it.
It's the earlier.
Rachel. Okay. Isn't she cute? Need her to. Is she cute? Yes, she is. Give me like 5 seconds. I love her. She's the reason why I got into Valorant. She is 100% the reason why I got to Valorant. Um, you know what's funny? I pulled it up. I was ready for that question.
What's up, Trez and Sergio? What's good,
Good.
guys? Thanks for tuning in.
Here you go.
Okay, so Peach said her friend's cute and is plugging the link for Andy and everyone else to follow. Rachel.
Why not Coco? Drop Coco's too. Say less. I got you.
Oh wait, I already follow Rachel. Okay.
Yeah. Give me like 5 seconds. Let me plug Coco's in.
Yeah, that's cool. No worries. Oh, you're watching my stream on your stream, Serge? Hope all is well. Thanks for stopping by.
Awesome. Coco's hilarious.
Please shout out the person you're podcasting with so I can follow. Oh, yes, of course. So if you guys use the exclamation guest command, you'll always see who my guest is. For this episode, it's episode 5, Peaches_Sky. Woo! Oh wait, Trez, you're also from Hawaii, aren't you? Nice. Showing hugs. I am. Okay. So it's like almost 8 for you guys. And every time her name pops up. Justin Bieber, hello? I got my peaches out of Georgia.
Gosh.
What's up? Oh, wait, hold up. Let me look at this, There you go. What's up, Brandon?
My gosh.
Welcome back.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Let me shout you out.
A boops. Oh, a little about my stream. I do boops. I do boops every time someone follows or subscribes. It started off as a joke because Niall started it. The Niall. He was like boop, and I'm like, doing it. I'm like, you know what? Now that like I'm affiliate, that's something fun I do for my followers. So I do boops. So randomly, if you see me on my stream booping myself, it's me acknowledging that you guys gave me a follow. Cause sometimes or subscription, or sub, whatever. I'm like stroking out. But yeah, I do boops for it.
Yes, she's currently in Hawaii right now.
Yes, I'm on Oahu.
Oh, Brandon used the awa awa. Can we get awa awas in chat, please? Awa awa!
Awa, awa.
Wait, the song? Oh. Thank you, guys. Thank you. All right. 2 more questions. Can you please explain how you met Cat Loon? And, well, what do you think about her?
My gosh, she is like my baby sister. I love her. She actually approached me from a car show. She is the most adorable, loving human ever. If you guys have a Cat Loon, I stop in her streams a lot. The only reason why I can't watch her streams is she streams Apex. I'm unable to play Apex. I can't watch Apex either because it triggers migraines, or else you'd be seeing me in her streams. Oh, another streamer. Back to the first question or the prior question. Glitchykins. Glitchykins, I fucking love her. She's my car friend. Actually, she's my drifting buddy. But Catloon also, she is the most adorable person. If you ever get to meet her in person, oh my god, you will love her. I look at her as a baby sister. I adore her so much. I met her at a car show. It's called Driven in Washington. She knew Derpy FRS. He's pretty big up there. And yeah, so she's always like contacted me, messaged me on Instagram, giving me all sorts of love. She is awesome. Oh my gosh, I adore her to death.
Nice,
But
that's a
yeah.
great story. Yeah, she was like flipping out when we were playing customs together.
Yeah.
She was just like, what the hell, you know her?
Yeah, she oh my gosh, she definitely it was because of my car, 100%, because I bought that Rocket Bunny, peaches and all that stuff. Yeah, so definitely because of my car, I get to meet a lot of awesome people. We get the good and the bad in the car community too, and she met her. She always loves my car, loved me. Oh my gosh, I get so much love from her. I love her to death. I adore her. She is an awesome person.
Oh, you have a question. What car do you currently drive?
Currently own a Corolla 2019, but it is back in Washington. So don't have it with me. I plan to I plan to get a Lexus UX probably, but I might send it on a Skyline. Who knows? Who knows? Tattoos are fake, personality's real. Oh my gosh.
I appreciate you, Comalytics, for the follow and for the love. But I have to break it to everyone.
Dang, Wilson. That means I have more tattoos than you. Oh my gosh, I have so many bad tattoos. Did I hear Washington? Yes, I am from Washington. I am from Washington. I am from South Seattle. The betrayal. Here, let's enjoy this one to make it up for that one. Definitely my most expensive tattoo I have on me. In Tacoma,
nice.
I will be in Port Orchard when I move back. I am definitely down to meet up and make new friends. I kid you not. I am down for that.
Very nice. Oh, Homolytics is a streamer.
Oh,
Dropping
say
a follow.
less.
Say less. Wait. Oh. Got you. We support our fellow streamers here in this
Oh,
community.
100%. I was in UW, Seattle campus area. Oh, that area is really nice, but also really fucking bougie. Oh, stop. You were looking at my profile, and I
wasn't just looking at it, I'm still looking at it. Reading your bio and everything.
I definitely will stop in after. But this is what Spitchy does. Weird. I wanted to see the cat. I have fur all over me.
Alright, and we have one last question. Okay, here we go. Using your connection, okay? Alright, keep that in mind. And let's say, aside from Cat Loon or Umami, because I know them, okay, who would you want to have on this podcast as a future guest?
What did you have already?
So I had Chill XVP for episode
Yep.
1. I had Miss Christina OCE for episode 2. I had Sriracha Ron for episode 3. And yesterday I had Extra Wired for episode 4.
I'd say Rachel. Yes, it is a cat on my lap. I'd say Rachel or Andy.
Wait, Andy?
Yep. It's Andy.
Wait, he doesn't even stream.
I know. But like I want a life story on him. Oh, Feed. Definitely Feed. Feed, hands down. Feed is a really awesome person. I want to know a lot more about Feed.
Yeah,
Yep,
FN Feed. John. Okay,
Yep.
good answer though. So basically, you basically said Rachel and Feed.
Yep.
Wait, Rachel streams, right?
Yes, she streams.
Okay, and you're saying that you could get that connection, so for sure. Cool, and so I'm just gonna wrap this podcast up, and then this is for the recording, like part of the YouTube video. So after that, we could still chill and do whatever, talk.
Yeah, no worries.
Guys, thank you for tuning in to this podcast. This is episode 5, over 3 hours. Very, very nice, I must say. Featuring Peaches_Sky. Thank you so much, Peach, for being here. I really appreciate it. It was a pleasure to know and learn more and more about you.
Yeah, same. I honestly enjoyed being on your podcast, for sure.
And lastly, once again, if you guys don't know what this podcast is about, it's just a way to get to know other streamers on a more personal level, because I feel like you can only
Thank you so much.
learn so much about someone as a viewer, but to have a podcast, it goes beyond that. So that's a wrap.
Definitely.
Like and subscribe.
For sure.